This is Jimmy Stewart, here to tell you that this episode of the Shamley Silhouette was pre-recorded in February of 2020. Stay safe, stay well, and enjoy this conversation about a film that doesn't feature the Jimster.
I read somewhere once that you'd made a remark that romantic man and romantic lady leading roles, the people who play those are inevitably very much in love with each other by the time
Well, that's because, one hears of so many multiple marriages in Hollywood. Women have had 4 husbands and vice versa. Yeah. And I think it's really because they meet in a love scene in a picture and they bring it to life and truth after 6 o'clock, in the dressing room preferably.
Have you ever caught them doing this?
No, not myself, because I like to be home at 6 o'clock.
Oh, I see.
But they apparently don't.
But you suspect
But I think that's one of the reasons why you find multiple marriages in Hollywood. Every man has been married about 2 or 3 times. That's because he meets a different woman every film that comes along.
Are you suggesting that Grace Kelly then was in love with James Stewart and then with Cary Grant and then with, who else was there? Ray Milland and...
Well, I wouldn't particularize on it because
for obvious
I'm
reasons.
generalizing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And he's not an army man either.
Who?
Generalizing.
Oh, generalizing, no. Oh. That's... You like all kinds of horror, don't you? Bad puns and...
Not bad pun. Puns are the highest form of literature.
There are those who would agree with you.
Welcome to the Shamley Silhouette, yet another analysis of the master of suspense, Alfred Hitchcock. I am your host, Zach Eastman, and this is a wonderful opportunity that we are about to embark on today. But before we get into today's proceedings, I want to thank the previous guest, Marshall Rosales, for coming back once again to talk about 3D, to talk about Grace Kelly's first entrance into the Hitchcock realm, and to talk about how technology can improve a storyteller's ability to tell those stories. If you haven't watched the 3D version of Dial M for Murder and you have the ability to watch it, seek it out. You can watch it in that format and kind of see what Hitchcock was going for in terms of utilizing that technology. And as always, thank you to Bradley Haig for giving this a home on the Real Nerds podcast feed. Without him, it would just be me talking to myself in my basement with my friends and them calling the cops afterwards, because that's unstable. Unstable, that's the word. But today we're actually going to go backward a little bit. If anybody who listens to this show, all 2 of you, would recall that we first discussed Hitchcock by way of Cary Grant, that suave, debonair mofo who charmed audiences all throughout the golden age of Hollywood. And we talked about his 4 films that he had done with Mr. Hitchcock, those being Suspicion, Notorious, To Catch a Thief, and North by Northwest, the latter being obviously the prime example of a Hitchcock film. But what's interesting is that out of those 4, one of them is considered to be one of the least Hitchcockian movies ever made. Thus some said by fans, critics, people who assess his work, and it is probably due to the fact that it is much lighter in its tone, a little bit more springy in its step, and less seeped into the dark, macabre humor that Hitchcock was known for. I speak, of course, of To Catch a Thief from 1955. I thought it would be best to talk about this film again from the perspective of it being the least Hitchcockian film. Here to discuss this with me is an old friend, who is a creative in and of itself. He writes, he directs, he acts. He does a lot of things, guys. But first and foremost, he is a fan of this movie. in a world where there are very few fans of this movie. And I wanted to get him on this podcast regardless of what he would decide. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Matt Willocks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Big Papa Willocks, you are here. You are here on the Shamley Silhouette. It took forever.
Finally.
Yes.
Yeah.
After so long. And what's amazing is that, like, you know, we talked about, like, doing To Catch a Thief, and my hesitation at first was like, well, we already technically talked about it, but then as time went on, it was becoming more clear of like, if I can get people to bring a different perspective onto things we've already discussed, that only helps the broader scope of this series. And you have been very vocal about To Catch a Thief. It's my favorite.
It's my favorite Hitchcock film.
And
it was my first Hitchcock film.
Really?
That might be the reason, but yeah, it is definitely my favorite. My second favorite being Psycho. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if that puts things into perspective.
Well, there's a part of you that likes diamond heists on the Riviera, and then there's a part of you that likes to dress up as your mom, is what you're telling me.
Absolutely.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I do.
And sometimes I try to do them both at the same time.
It's very, very awkward when you try to do that. You are no longer allowed in Cannes, right? You are no longer
That's right.
allowed.
Yeah. No, I've been banned from the French Riviera, the Côte d'Azur.
It's the only reason you're not allowed at that film festival.
That's right. That's right.
But so that kind of answers the question of how you get into Hitchcock. So then I'll ask it in a different way: is what compels you to get into Hitchcock past that point, like after watching that?
Well, so the main person who I can owe my love of movies to is my mom.
That's why you dress up like her.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, she was the one who would show me just all kinds of movies growing up, and like one day she was like, "Here, watch To Catch a Thief," you know. And as a kid, I was just like, I loved like adventure movies, you know, and lighthearted comedies and stuff like that. So I didn't when I would watch To Catch a Thief when I was young, I didn't watch it as like, this is a Hitchcock film.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it as, oh, cool. My favorite guy from Charade is, you know,
I love you bringing this up.
Is in another movie taking place in France,
Mm-hmm.
and he's playing, you know, an ex-jewel thief.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of suspense in with this romantic comedy thing.
So you're not even attaching it to a director at this point.
And I didn't do that till I, you know, really kind of got into film, you know, when I was in high school, and decided like, oh, I really like film. Film is my thing. So yeah, that's
kind of where you find stuff like Psycho or The Birds.
Yeah, and same thing with Psycho. Like, my mom would tell stories about Psycho. Like, my grandmother took her to. They went to that film when my mom was. I think my mom was 10 or 11 when Psycho came out.
Oh wow!
So that movie really kind of messed up my mom.
Oh God! Oh my!
So yeah, so like that's the reason my mom doesn't watch horror movies at all.
Did she go during the initial like in 1960?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! Wow, that is awesome.
So yeah,
but she's got the experience of just like, don't tell anybody after you've left.
Yeah,
she's probably so petrified she doesn't even have to speak.
And she probably saw To Catch a Thief in a theater with my grandparents as well. So
that's pretty awesome. So she passed the legacy down.
So I think she just was like, when I was little, she was just like, I'm just going to show him the movies that I saw when I was a kid. So
right.
Yeah, that's where my focal point of coming into Hitchcock is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's actually interesting, you know, so you're a little older than me, but we kind of grew up in this period of time where we still had we had VHS and whatnot, but there was also a level of what directors are revered.
Yeah.
And I think when you would have been older when I like in high school when I was kind of going through this, but the way I got into Hitchcock was through that ad on the VHS for The Mummy, where they showed the Alfred Hitchcock collection, and when they were first advertising it, and they have that synthy version of the March of the Marionettes, and it sounds very 90s.
Yeah,
I put a clip of it on the website, but that's like one of those things. Like when you're a kid, and you're hearing about directors for the first time. Spielberg comes up, obviously.
Yeah.
I think George Lucas is honestly the first one I really identify as a director because of those introductions in front of the Star Wars tapes.
Yeah, for me, the two directors that I was like, oh, these guys are directors and they have a body of work was George Lucas and Steven Spielberg,
right?
For sure.
And then you keep going and going, and like it's weird. Like Hitchcock comes like not too far after that, and
right,
it's primarily because they sold. He's like a director that, much like a Spielberg and even a Lucas, there's a personality behind the director itself, like where it's that part of what you're going for in a Hitchcock movie is watching him introduce it or latching onto that personality and going like, I want to dig into his sense of style and his sense of insanity. And so with Hitchcock, it's interesting how we're now obviously it's the year's now 2020, guys, and if you're listening to this in 2050, Hitchcock's still revered, but I think that other directors have surmounted him as like the legends we now ultra dissect. So that Hitchcock, he's still dissected, but I think he's taken more of a backseat by comparison to other filmmakers.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But he, among the older guard, is the one that we talk about the most, because we don't really talk about John Huston that much anymore. When we talk about Orson Welles, it's usually about his later, sadder years. Yeah. And I mean, we don't even talk about Raoul Walsh or William Wyler anymore to save our lives. So Hitchcock lies in that field of a filmmaker whose films have stood up to the test of time, regardless of how old they are. Yeah. So, this is the second time we've been able to do this on the show. First time being last week, where we watched the movie before we talk about it. I haven't been doing that on this show.
I'm surprised at that.
It's mainly a scheduling thing, but with Dial M for Murder,
that makes sense.
Yeah, Dial M for Murder was a situation where I have no way to watch the 3D print, and Marshall was gracious enough to show it to me, and he was very excited to do so.
Okay,
with this one with you, I really enjoyed watching this movie with you today because I've seen it many times, and especially with starting this series, I've gone through it at least 4 times.
Oh, okay, cool.
So this is like the 5th time I've gone through it, and watching it with your perspective on it and just what you're enjoying out of it. It's fascinating to know, especially from the guests, like just their immediate reaction, like what is latching on to them in terms of like, because it doesn't even have to pertain to Hitchcock. It pertains to your personal taste and whatnot. And it's very clear, having known you as long as I do, that this would be your favorite Hitchcock movie because it is the most it's the most fun, adventurous of all of them. Yeah,
and I also tend to I like to go against the grain.
Oh, you're contrarian.
It's just in the nature of the how I was raised, and like we Willockses consider ourselves stubborn, and we like it. So when people, are like, I didn't like To Catch a Thief, then I'm like, well, you're just dumb. and that's not what I actually think. But
it's like, well, I didn't like Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. Fuck you.
Yeah, that's my favorite Halloween.
Oh God. I do. I think it's because of knowing you that I've learned to love that movie as much as I have. Because I remember when around the time where we first met, I mentioned like I don't like Halloween 3 because it doesn't have Michael Myers, and you're just like, watch it again.
Well, I mean, the critics did not enjoy To Catch a Thief because it was not as heavy. Well, it just wasn't a heavy suspense thriller.
Yeah, I mean,
like his previous movies. Like this was coming off of Rear Window.
Yeah, and which is in a way the ultimate Hitchcock movie in terms of his technique and his sensibility.
Yeah,
and so you have it's a diversion to say the least. Mm-hmm. And like I normally do the reviews at the end, but I do want to touch on that really quickly because I like quoting Bosley Crowther. He's my favorite guy to hate. He wrote for the New York Times though, and he wrote in a positive review. He was one of the positive ones. He comes off completely as a hit in the old Hitchcock style. That's interesting because the style is there. Mm-hmm. But you wouldn't know it at first glance.
It's toned down.
Yeah. It's very much taken down a couple notches. Mm-hmm. There's no, mentions of corpses in the basement or a murder across the street. There's really no death in this movie beyond the one death.
Which might have been accidental.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's not, there's no
Well, no, there was a wrench. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And even though what's funny though, it is shot with macabre images in mind, but they're so light on impact. And we'll get into it when we get into the plot. But we'll jump a little bit into the production history of To Catch a Thief. This is coming off of Rear Window. John Michael Hayes was the writer of Rear Window. Hitchcock liked working with him, and John Michael Hayes was hired to write To Catch a Thief, and it's based off of a novel by David Dodge. And the basic thing was that Hitchcock was looking to get Grant out of retirement,
right?
And he had an intriguing offer for
That's
Mr.
right.
Cary Grant, and we talked a little bit about it in the first episode of the show. But Cary Grant, for a recap, Cary Grant's kind of like retiring. He's kind of done with Hollywood. He
didn't like the treatment of. He was really upset about the treatment of Charlie Chaplin from the industry, or
that's one angle on. But I think the bigger one, Ryan brought this up, is that he was very, very tired of just the way he was being treated as an independent, and he felt like getting out. He had other business, and he had other business interests outside of Hollywood. But Cary Grant was lured out of this with the prospect by Mr. Hitchcock, like, what if I took you out to France? And what if I put you somewhere with Grace Kelly?
Yeah.
How does that sound?
Yeah, it was pretty much, he said it's going to be shot in the French Riviera. We're going to the French Riviera to shoot, and Grace Kelly's in it.
And so immediately we've got Cary Grant back on board. And obviously Grant, Cary Grant as an actor, he goes on to do more things beyond this point. But there's a period where he's kind of just like, I'm just done now. And then he kind of comes out of it. But then he goes along. North by Northwest is the last one he does with Hitch, and then not too long after that, he leaves entirely.
Yeah.
And so we at this point, the Grant persona is very, very established.
Yeah,
it's very, very established. Amongst the things that are talked about in the first episode and that we're going to elaborate on today is that the formula with Cary Grant has always been that women pursue him; he is not pursuing women. He's
uninterested.
Yes, exactly, and that thus makes him more attainable or appealing to obtain.
Yeah,
and so there's only a few times where that formula is truly, truly flipped, and this all kind of stems from the moment where we first saw him in The Awful Truth, where he is showing off that personality, and then it extends and grows beyond its reach. So at this point, it's already clear that if you put Cary Grant in a movie, there's an audience coming.
Right.
And Grace Kelly is coming off of Rear Window. She is a big star at this point. So working with Hitch again, this would be the final time she would work with Hitch before she would become a princess. and
I think she met Prince, what's his name?
Prince Rainier. Yeah.
While she was shooting this movie.
Yeah.
And they started a pen pal relationship.
Yep, and then they grew to know each other. And
correspondence.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you could say
we have to stick with fancy terms for this episode.
You could say it was a foreign correspondence.
A foreign correspondence.
Hitchcock sits in the back now and goes, "Ha! That's a movie I did. Did you see what they did, Alma? These boys are delightful. Keep going with those puns." So we'll jump a little bit into some basic info. So directed by and
old Hitchy.
Old Hitchy.
Old Hitchy himself.
God. You don't call me Alfred and you don't call me Hitchy. Find the middle ground. So stars Grace Kelly, Cary Grant, Jesse Royce Landis, John Williams, Charles Vanel, and Brigitte Aubert. With music by Lynn Murray, cinematography by Robert Burks, edited by George Tomasini, costumes by Edith Head, with the exception of Bernard Herrmann, who wouldn't be in the Hitchcock canon until the next movie, which is Trouble with Harry.
Right.
The full team is assembled. And, of course, you have Alma Revel coming in and supervising a lot of different elements and steering the ship the way she does as Alma Revel, the wife of Alfred Hitchcock, but the creative with Alfred Hitchcock as well. And this is actually a good primer to talk about Alma's involvement. And, she involved herself in the formations of how the story can be told and whatnot. And, you can watch this on the we spent some time watching the behind-the-scenes featurettes to get a little bit more in-depth into this.
Yeah.
And, what we found out with the Alma information, amongst other things, is the scene that involves Cary Grant and Grace Kelly driving around the French Riviera when it's revealed that she knows who he is.
Yeah.
That scene was originally just one long dialogue scene, and Alma insisted that John Michael Hayes break it up so that some of it's in the car, some of it's outside.
Yeah, they like go to a villa, they'd have some of it there, they have some in the car, they have some in the picnic scene.
Yeah. And so that's an example of how somebody like Alma Revel
that's an interesting way to draw out suspense for Cary Grant's character. It's like, he didn't want to go on this long afternoon with her, you know what I mean, having to keep up this facade.
I'm trying to solve a mystery,
right,
and you're
right.
distracting me with your beauty.
But I mean, and it's just uncomfortable for him. I mean, yeah, we've all been in that situation where it's like, I have to go do something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be there for hours.
Yeah. And on top of that, I've got people trailing me in the back.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
you've got layer upon layer, and she knew how to break it up, the action. Alma Revel, was a trained editor during the early British period when Hitchcock met her, and she always had a hand in the editing as well. And George Tomasini, the main editor on the film, but more than likely, if you kind of go deeper, it's obvious that she had a hand in kind of helping construct certain things in the post process as well, because that would be her niche.
Yeah.
But she would help mainly in story construction. She was a noted writer as well. So this script is formed, and it was the first of the 5 films that Hitchcock would make in VistaVision. VistaVision, we talk a little bit about it with Vertigo, but let's go a little bit further into it. This is the answer from Paramount to CinemaScope, which is being developed by the other companies.
Yep.
And so VistaVision, in a clever way, finds a way to flip the normal strip of film, the 35 millimeter film, goes down vertically. And but what they did is flip the frame of the 35 image for each slot
onto its side
horizontally. So it essentially saves you having to create a bigger film print for something like CinemaScope, which would later become IMAX.
Right.
So basically, you can make a 70 millimeter. This is their version of 70 millimeter. We could be showing this film on IMAX theaters today.
Yeah,
we could. We're not going to.
No one's going to.
No. I mean, but it's fine. I have no problem watching Rise of Skywalker again in that format. And also, they're not going to break out an old projector. I mean, times have changed, which it sucks. I did see Raiders of the Lost Ark in the 70 millimeter print when they did show it.
Really?
But it's weird because they were showing it on the smaller screens at the Regal.
Oh.
Yeah. It's the way they unfortunately showed The Hateful Eight as well. But they picked a big enough auditorium that I just sat in the front rows and I got the effect.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, that's nice.
Yeah, it could have been better. But
that happened when I went to go see Hateful Eight too. It was like,
I
was like, this is not as big a screen as I thought.
Yeah, it's almost as if it should be an RPX.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember the last time we were in RPX, we were watching a little prequel film that was very notorious and in 3D. So Hitchcock, he starts with the VistaVision process. This will be perfected with him visually down the line with stuff, amongst other things like Vertigo, which is considered the masterpiece. And you can't think of that film without that process because of how much scope is brought to, Jimmy Stewart running around and being gaslit and going like, I don't know nothing. But you're telling me, and I guess it makes sense. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and jump into the plot a little bit, and from there we're going to talk a little bit about the creativity behind this film, because in spite of this film not being a strictly Hitchcockian film,
which is a weird thing to say because he made the film.
Yeah,
but people say that all the time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's mainly just like those tropes and whatnot.
No, I understand. Yeah, I think it's weird. I think it's funny when people don't like when directors just want to try something different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Martin Scorsese went through that in the 90s, and
right.
There are Martin Scorsese films out there that are not Martin Scorsese movies by the traditional standard. Right. And some people
he would argue with you.
Yeah, well,
about that.
Of course I would. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Getting angry about this. I had to fight with Marvel, now I have to fight with you. But no, like a movie like Kundun is not what you think of when you think of Scorsese, and yet if you look at the visual scheme of it, of course it is.
No, I understand what you're saying. It's funny when people who are not the auteur are like, he's betraying himself. You know what I mean? Like, why would he do this piece of trash?
And he's just like, shut up!
And it's just like, just let him do his thing.
Yeah. And in the case of, To Catch a Thief, you were talking about it a little bit about this. You want to shine some light. Is that like, he get a chance for Hitchcock?
He had bought the rights to shortly after the book came out, he bought the rights to the book. And he also just wanted to take a vacation to the French Riviera, which is how Adam Sandler makes movies.
Yeah. Or even Vince Vaughn and his friend, the guy Peter Billingsley. Yeah,
and
couples retreat.
And I think he also wanted to pull. It's just a movie he wanted to make. He liked the story, and I think he wanted to pull Cary Grant out of retirement because he's a great fucking actor.
And he liked working with him. Mm-hmm. It's very noted that he liked working with him. There are other projects he wanted him to be a part of. He wanted him to be in Rope.
Yeah.
But that couldn't be arranged. So instead, they got me. Let me help you understand something. I'm not locked in here with these two boys. These two boys are locked in here with me. Who watches The Watchmen? I love making.
Oh wow!
I love making Jimmy Stewart say ridiculous shit on this show.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting experience, wouldn't it? Jimmy Stewart is Rorschach.
What are you waiting for? Do it! Do it! Tell me, Doc, what do you say?
You want the moon, Spectre? Anyway.
Jimmy Stewart is Rorschach. Somebody ought to come and wipe out the scum in this city. So anyway, but no, To Catch a Thief, yeah, and also there's just like it's a project that entails him, so he does his particular pre-production work.
Yeah,
they scouted the French Riviera and they shot partially on location and partially in the studio.
Yeah.
And Hitchcock notoriously would prefer to not be outside. I really don't like it.
I think he's quoted as saying he hates blue skies.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if.
So I'm sure he just didn't like being outside.
Yeah, well, I think the big thing would be is that and we've experienced this whenever we've tried to make a film.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with elements outside, you have no control over them.
Right.
Weather is a big issue.
Yeah.
Lighting exterior lighting is a big issue.
Sound.
Sound.
Yeah.
Oh God. So whenever you can shoot in the studio, you have more control. And at the time, it's important to point out for people who are not familiar with this in the age of what we have with CGI and stuff. The studios, obviously, they don't have a computer. They're building sets constantly of massive scale that would later just get knocked down in favor of another one. Some are kept intact.
Some are reused.
Yeah, like in MGM, on the lot of MGM, they still had the sets from The Burning of Atlanta, amongst other sets and props, obviously from Wizard of Oz. But they would construct these elaborate sets. Paramount was no different. Mm-hmm. They had many sound stages where they would construct, amongst other things, many of the interiors for this film. The exception being really the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, which is also where some of the crew was holed up in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but the exteriors of this film are fantastic, and that's a big credit to Robert Burks and his collaboration with Hitchcock. This would be the first of many that he would do with Hitchcock.
Yeah.
In fact, Burks would create the what is considered the masterpiece, which is Vertigo, and the visuals of that film are a testament to his ability, Hitchcock's imagination, and Saul Bass's design. So let's jump into the plot here. Finally, we open up To Catch a Thief with heists are afoot.
Well, the opening, like the title screen, it's supposed to be a travel agency front window in New York City.
Yeah.
No one would ever know that unless they read up on that. Because I didn't even know that till last night.
Well, travel agencies are not really a thing that exist much anymore by comparison to what they did.
They're not.
Today.
Yeah, they're not as big as what they used to be.
Yeah,
sure.
I remember going into one when I was a kid for a United hub. So, so we start there. And coming off the reflective glass, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Ha, me. And then we're kind of moving along, and there's a scream. Things have been stolen. And we're seeing a series of robberies happen, and they're alluded to by the presence of a black cat climbing on the roofs and walking across the roofs.
And then we see close-ups on leather-gloved hands carefully pulling jewels out of their cases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you need a modern day reference for it, watch The Simpsons episode season 5 where the cat burglar strikes on Springfield.
Right.
It's very much the same thing until it decides it's not at the very end. So we have, and within the visual scheme of that, this is a starting point on Robert Burks' work on the film, but also a credit to the set designers of this film.
Yeah.
So the cat comes across the roof. It's a black cat. We're starting on a green filter, so whenever these robberies take place, we have a green hue that
at night.
overwhelms.
Yeah, there's a green filter over the night scenes.
And you know, we talk a lot about the way Hitchcock meticulously plans out things. He's good at color coding. Whenever he has a film in color, he knows how to color code. And within this case, it's not only representing robbery; it can represent the money or the riches that can be involved.
Right.
And it's a consistent look throughout the film.
He also doesn't like blue.
No. No. Don't like it. No.
And the cries for help we hear are in English.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was a big emphasis on the rich American tourist in Europe. I think one of the voices is French, but the first couple are in English. And I think I'd mentioned to you, I think it's funny how American tourists are picked on in this movie.
Yes, they are very much picked on in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's what's weird is watching it from a modern perspective is just kind of like, I mean, we kind of we aren't really paying attention.
Right.
And that's how shit happens. I mean, Hostel is about that.
Yeah.
To a different degree.
Well, and it's also like how they're portrayed a little differently in this movie, cuz like usually if I think of someone's opinion of an American tourist, you know, we're loud and rude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like what's the character in the Bond film, the sheriff from the South or what?
Oh,
he has really thick.
In which Bond
Southern?
film?
He's in Live and Let Die.
Oh,
and,
I'm not a Roger Moore guy. So you may have to describe this for me.
I'm not a Roger Moore guy either.
Oh God, nobody's a Roger Moore.
But
guy.
he's in a couple of the movies. He's in Live and Let Die when they're actually in the South, and he's in another one where he's a tourist in some European.
Yeah. But he's accentuated as like the annoying tourist.
But
like,
it's over the top Southern accent, redneck guy.
I mean,
and I was like, is that like maybe that's more true to what American tourists are today?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look, it's not my favorite vacation movie, but European Vacation, it kind of hits on that to a certain extent. This idea of like, well, we're going back to our European roots, but also we're very, very dumb.
Yeah,
and we're the Griswolds, of course we are. So yeah, I mean, he plays around with that, and it's interesting to note that this comes in the 50s. You're coming back to an area that was not more than 10 years ago war torn and disheveled and dismantled essentially.
And I think the movie is taking place right after World War II.
Yeah, like not shortly after at the very least.
Like maybe 5 years or so.
Yeah, roughly around there, which would be more in line with the way the book's constructed,
right.
because when it comes out in 1951. So we're dealing with, it's the idea of these Americans, like whether it's just American tourism that helps boost that economy, or if it's also soldiers returning back from to the scene of where they were,
because they liked where they were.
Yeah.
Stationed.
Yeah, exactly. They enjoyed France. They enjoyed many France's luxuries. It's food and it's women and it's wine.
It also like that, and that's why like American tiki bars got popular. In the 50s.
Yeah,
because they wanted to be taken back to those exotic locales.
And we need to be sure to remember to mention tiki bars at the end of this show.
Oh,
but you're right actually, and then that's why. And actually, it lends itself to a little bit of what it would end up being the Disneyland effect of just like like the. The Epcot Center does this a little bit more bluntly, but like the Tiki Room at Disneyland is something like that. It's just taking different cultures and kind of sticking in like a virtual reality simulation of like what these environments might be like.
Yeah.
Except the birds talk,
right.
Which I mean, I wish. But, so we've got these series of thefts. We don't know exactly what's going on, but we are led to a big house on a hill. With which looks like it could be out of an Ennio or of a Sergio Leone movie, but it is very like nicely furnished.
That's right.
And inside this house, we see a black cat Is it the same black cat from earlier? We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. But we do know about a jewel thief that is retired named John Robie.
Yeah.
It is explained to us via an insert of the paper.
Begin the onslaught of double entendres.
Yes.
Right now.
Oh, God.
This movie's full of them.
There's a lot of imagery, phallic imagery afoot.
Yeah.
And sexual imagery afoot.
Yeah.
Primarily because what's interesting is this is a movie about a heist, and yet the MacGuffin of this film is who is behind the thievery.
Right.
It's not important to the story. What's important is that Cary Grant's heart is about to get stolen. But we'll get to that soon. We meet John Robie, looking very fine in a sweater and a nice red scarf.
I think it's funny he wears a lot of scarves or ascots throughout the movie, almost like they're cat collars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And which is just the first visual joke.
Yeah.
Through the movie.
He's playing with the cat imagery, like he's really leaning into that symbology.
But it's not as strong as Catwoman in Batman Returns.
No. I mean, well, Willocks, I said this to you earlier today, and I'll say it again. Mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it.
Right.
But a kiss can be deadlier if you mean it.
When you said that, I was like, yeah, Tim Burton went way overboard with the cat stuff, you know what I mean? And this one, it's still in your face, but it's just not as...
You know my favorite
it's
one,
not
right?
as strong.
When she's doing her backflips towards Batman and the Penguin and goes, meow. So we meet him, and he's kind of leisurely kicking back. He's just like, I'm retired. Nobody gives a shit what I do. Like, I am living off of the riches that I once stole.
Yeah.
And I work a vineyard. That's true, but I'm really just lazy. I don't care anymore.
And then we hear the screech of the police car.
Yes, and suddenly we realize...
And he sees it coming up the hill.
Yes, and this whole sequence is shot in the pure cinema effect. We learn about John Robie without hearing a word from his mouth.
We see the newspaper.
And we also kind of learn how he moves and how he walks around.
Mm-hmm.
So we know he's a burglar without having to say... Or was a burglar without having to have him say, hi, I'm a burglar.
Well, and, having a black cat is just a giant advertisement.
Yeah.
In itself.
Stick that cat in there,
the
frame, and we're good to go. I'm alluding to shit.
Yeah,
I'm a genius, Alfred Hitchcock. So the police question him, and he's just like, well, do you mind if I change? Because this is not necessarily comfortable. And he does that gif that we all love to use so much. He goes back inside, and basically, he was playing with a gun earlier in the scene and puts it on top of his Mickey Mouse chair, which when you pointed it out, I was like, this is a Mickey Mouse chair of big proportion. Those ears are big.
Yeah.
So he goes out, goes in his room to change, and then suddenly we hear a gunshot. We think, oh no, John Robie has killed himself, except he hasn't because he's Cary Grant.
Yeah.
And he escapes. And the police start chasing him.
Well, then the police burst in the room.
Yeah.
And they see that he's not there, and then they hear John Robie's car screech out of the driveway.
And it's important to note we hear his car.
Yeah,
we don't hear him.
Yeah, we don't see who's in the car.
Yes.
So the police take off after the car,
and it's a red car, so you can't identify it from this distance that we see, these helicopter shots, especially.
And we see him on the roof of his own house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so we are led on a merry chase. And what's interesting, it mentions it in the behind-the-scenes featurettes, and it's also noted in production notes. Helicopter shots were not commonplace back in the period.
Right.
There's no specific rig that they would have for them. So as was discussed on these featurettes, and as you had brought up to me earlier today, they're tying that camera down.
Yeah, they took a door off the helicopter, and they secured the camera with ropes and cables and wires, and they said I guess it was a little scary at times for the pilot and the cameraman.
I'd have to imagine, because you're it's that's triple fold of just I got to worry about myself, this equipment, and this helicopter.
Right. Yeah.
But the results for it are smoother than you'd expect for among the first timers, and these are processes that get later perfected in stuff like Stanley Kramer's It's a Mad World. So we're already kind of setting the scene of things to come. Hitchcock is innovating once again in the process. And so we get this merry chase, and what's great with the color coding again, Robie's car is red. We got the police car, so we know where the chase is happening.
Yeah.
We get these nice exteriors of the can area, and we finally close in closer. The cops have apprehended the car. But it's the maid.
It's the maid. He's nowhere in there. Oh, now is when we see him on the roof.
Yes,
right?
exactly. He comes out the roof, and then we see him looking.
Nice little reveal to the audience.
Yeah, and then we have him looking out the gate, and he's going like, "Huh, idiots." and then he walks up and takes the bus, and we get our Hitchcock cameo,
and we have another little cat joke. The birds are freaking out.
The birds are freaking out next to him, and then it pans over to Hitchcock, and Hitchcock says, "I'll make a movie about those things later. Just you wait." I'm Alfred Hitchcock. I'm a genius. So Robie goes to the restaurant that is owned by some of his old war buddies. Part of why he has not been in any mischief up till this point is because he fought with the resistance fighters in France in order to gain a pardon from his previous crimes.
That's right.
So he meets the old one of his old resistance buddies, and the people who work in the kitchen, who are also his buddies, are not happy with him because they know that these thefts are being tied to them and him.
Right.
So everybody's suspecting that it's one of the many Robie gang associates.
Bertani is the name of the guy who owns the restaurant.
Yes. And we should Bertani, played by Charles Vanel, doesn't speak a word of English.
Or very, very badly.
Yes, exactly. So he was redubbed and reshot a lot in order to accommodate.
And there were parts when his mouth is obscured.
Yeah.
From talking. There was even one scene where they just stuck in a line, and his lips aren't moving at all.
Yeah.
they just stuck it in there.
He says like, "Oh, he's magic. He can. He's so good at English. He can say it without opening his mouth."
and so he's here to try to.
We're trying to figure out, like, are any of you actually behind this?
Right, and he's also Cary Grant's like telling everyone he's innocent. He didn't do it, and no one believes him.
No, nobody believes him. In fact, it upsets one rather large man very much.
One rather large French man.
He's like, enough!
French strong man.
Yes, and John Robie distracts him by throwing a wine bottle, and he drops a plate in the process.
Right.
And it's like, oh, adorable.
He's so clever.
Yes, exactly. But Robie gets away.
He knocks a glass off a shelf like a cat.
Yes. Look what I'm doing. Carrie. You know how a cat knocks shit off with its paw like it's a fucking asshole? Can you be a fucking asshole for me? Just paw it off right there. So he gets out of there. He's smuggled out.
We see Foussin, who is the wine steward.
Yes.
And he has a wooden leg and a limp,
yep,
and a white streak in his hair. And I commented, if there was ever a Bond henchman in this film, it's him, because he has the most identifying marks.
Well, it's my sworn nemesis, Limpy McGee. What do you want, peg leg?
Yeah. But
game's over, Mr. Bond.
So Foussin takes the guy with the limp takes Cary Grant to
his daughter,
Danielle, his daughter.
Yes,
and I just kind of noticed this, that she and Cary Grant are wearing a similar top.
Yeah, so it's a style. It's not the color, but it's
not the
style.
color, but it's a style. And I thought that was very interesting.
It's very much like, I mean, as we were going through, I kind of thought more about it because I had never noticed that until you brought it up. And my assumption is that we learn that Danielle learned a lot from Robie. Yeah. So she looks up to him and has even a crush on him.
She's also wearing red, and she makes her intentions with him known. Like right off the bat.
Let's go to
Let's
South America.
Get married, go to South America, and have lots of fun times.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. To which Hitchcock said, "We can't afford South America. Why do I have to keep telling you this? Look, Brigitte, no." Stay here.
But she thinks he is the.
She thinks he's the cat burglar.
The cat as well.
Now, as we'll learn, she's playing her own little game.
Right.
But it's interesting. Like, she would look up to him to the point where she would match an attire of that, even if the
Right.
color's different. It's the attire's similar.
Yeah.
So they go on a boat, and we get to get a good old Hitchcock process shot of them on a boat, and we go through Robie's history and his motivations a little bit from the perspective of a thief.
And I like a lot of the dialogue scenes in this movie, and I think they're all very smartly written, and this is the first one where I was like, oh, they're back and forth. It's just like,
Well, and it's a testament to Michael Hayes' script.
Yeah, just very good banter back and forth.
It's interesting to go from Hitchcock film to Hitchcock film and see which ones are stronger in the writing and which ones are stronger in the directing.
Right.
Like, I think this could be honestly said, like, we both love Psycho, but the dialogue in Psycho is not as strong as the dialogue in, say, To Catch a Thief or even Rear Window.
Right.
But the dialogue is certainly different, to different ends.
I was going to say that I think the dialogue has a different purpose in Psycho than it does in this movie.
And I guess a more prime example to compare it with would be Rear Window, which would be by the same screenwriter.
Right.
He uses the same stuff in Rear Window. Mm-hmm. It's just that Rear Window is toward the macabre bent.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you dial him back to a lighter tone.
Mm-hmm.
But he is able to throw out that banter and whatnot. And, as we were learning, Cary Grant would want to make suggestions, and Hitchcock would say no.
Yeah.
And then he'd say, okay, fine, go through John. And then he'd tell John, just stall him.
I also read a thing where John wanted to make certain changes with the script, and he actually went to Cary Grant and Grace Kelly first to get them on his side.
Yeah.
And I think something came up later when articles were being written in the papers about this movie, and because Alfred Hitchcock did not like sharing credit, so he didn't like when John was mentioned in the article as the writer, and I think he was banned from press. Yeah.
It would make sense if he was holding on to that authoritative control of the situation.
Yeah.
And it's known that he. We talk about there's positives and negatives to Hitchcock's control of the people around him.
Yeah.
Obviously, the negatives are very known and have been discussed and will be continued to be discussed. The positives are that when his vision is seen through in cases like To Catch a Thief,
right,
they do end up proving to be the correct ones.
Right.
And in the case of just like, there's a moment where Grant is trying to get Hitchcock to do something his way, and he basically tells the crew, like my shit better than his shit.
Right, yeah.
And then it's just like, well, I guess you won, old boy. It's like, ha. I did that in
he had the crew, so they shot something. They didn't say what it was, but they shot something two ways. Hitchcock's way, and Cary Grant had this idea for it, and they shot it his way. Mm-hmm. And they shot Cary Grant's first, and then they shot Hitchcock's. And Hitchcock, he told the crew beforehand, applaud after mine.
Yeah.
So, and that
didn't tell him why. He says, just applaud.
Just applaud.
Just applaud. Make it fun for yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Get your hands warmed up.
Which is kind of as I don't know, I've directed a couple things myself, and I was open to collaboration from my actors.
Right.
Does that say maybe I don't know? Maybe I didn't have a clear vision. Maybe.
Willocks, you got to whip them. You've got to whip them good. This is what I've always tried to tell people.
Well, I mean, didn't Hitchcock think actors were like cattle?
He said that he said he didn't say they were like cattle. He said they should be treated
like cattle.
Yes,
okay.
It's always good when people get it wrong, because I could be like, ha ha ha. No, wait a minute. But no, it's true that and I've directed too, and I've gone through a different approach where I'm just like, I tend to rely on the people around me a lot more than I would have, say, when I was much younger, because I can't pretend to know everything. Hitchcock comes from a school where he learned from the ground up. He started within production design and title design in the silent era. So he's so well aware of what makes an efficient machine run that he possesses the control over the project. Yeah. And he, at this point, has earned the right to call that shot, technically.
No, I mean, if you're a director, you
have your style.
And you have the right to just say, I'm going to do things my way.
Yeah.
Go up a river. You know what I mean? But
Exactly, Willocks. Exactly. And that's why my films were fine.
Right, exactly. I'm not Alfred Hitchcock. I'm not a genius.
Yeah. Willocks, my prequels were just fine. That was mean. So we get to the
beach club.
We get to the beach club. We get some shirtless Cary Grant for the ladies.
I read a little story about this little scene with his swimming trunks.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he was more difficult to work with. Edith Head said he was more difficult to work with than Hitchcock.
Yeah.
He's very particular about
his image.
And what he was going to wear.
Yes, and
he also wanted it to be comfortable
mm-hmm.
at the same time.
Yeah, and and that dives into the Grant persona a little bit, which is... and Ryan talks about this a lot too, but you and I are both aware of this as well.
Yeah.
There is an image of Cary Grant that is known throughout cinema history. It's a very consistent image. Rarely is it diverted.
Right.
Rarely do you see it diverted. What's actually interesting, if you, I'll do a little plug for Ryan on this. If you go to realnerdspodcast.com, you will see a definitive ranking of, from his point of view, the top Cary Grant films. And in each one, he discusses a little bit about Grant's performance and how it can differ or how it stays consistent.
Yeah.
And there are very few times where that persona changes, and naturally that comes with an image. So that image, it is a suave, debonair look to it. So he is going to be picky with it.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting considering that Edith Head, she's generally answering to only one man, which is me. So, so Hitchcock is the man in charge in that situation. And,
yeah.
We'll jump into Edith Head a little bit on this because it's, Edith Head is a costume designer for the ages. I mean, we based a Pixar character after her.
Right.
But she's won more Oscars for this specific skill than anybody, with a record of 8 between 1949 and 1973. Amongst the things that she is famous for within the Hitchcock canon is Vertigo doesn't look like Vertigo without Edith Head.
Right.
It is hands down a film that is solely it happens because of the design involved. Like, Kim Novak is dressed the way she's dressed partially because of Hitchcock's designs, and he was he is an illustrator, so he could design those things. But Edith has to construct that and make that practical for the actor involved.
Right.
And she also has a say within the color scheme of everything. And you were telling me that this was apparently her favorite film to work on.
Yeah, she said this was her favorite film to work on. I mean, especially the last scene is just everyone in I don't know what century it is, but they're all in
that kind of French the French aristocracy.
Yeah.
The more colorful part of History of the World Part 1, where Mel Brooks is running around and kissing people randomly.
Right. It's like
17th
century attire.
Yeah. And I do remember in that scene somebody said, "It's good to be the king."
Right, yeah.
I have the quote here from Edith Head about what it was like to work on the costume design. Of all the pictures I worked on, darling. No, I'm not going to do that. That's disrespectful to her. Of all the pictures I've ever worked on, To Catch a Thief is my favorite. And it was so difficult. From Grace Kelly's piece de resistance gold ball gown to shopping for bathing trunks that would please Cary Grant, who was even more difficult than Hitch was to please. Cary knew exactly how he wanted to look, but he also wanted to be comfortable. He didn't want a tight elastic distracting him. He selected most of the clothes for his films. Grace was much easier to work with, but I never had a free moment to see the Cotizar. This was not a regular routine, but I was in the costume designer's heaven. Can you imagine? Grace Kelly playing one of the richest women in America so she can afford the most elegant clothes and most fabulous jewels. Then a fancy costume ball with hundreds of extras dressed as if they were in Marie Antoinette's court. Hitch told me to dress Grace like a princess, and I did. Of course, I had no idea I'd be dressing a real princess.
An actual princess.
And then Hitchcock's in the back. Ha! Alma, did you hear that? Oh, these two idiots are delightful. She has. It's actually what she says about working on this film is essential to understanding this film.
Yeah.
this film is about extravagance.
Yeah, it's about class. It's about elegance.
Yeah, it's weird. As we're recording this, we're going through a weird class divide. Not weird. It's essential. But the class division of this, like, now back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, watching rich people run around and do their thing could be fun for people if you did it correctly and didn't rub their elegance in your face meanly.
Right.
And To Catch a Thief falls in the line of something like An Awful Truth or My Man Godfrey, where like it's rich people, but they're screwing around and being weird,
right?
You know, so the amount of extravagance that she's able to go in with these costumes, and what's more, to be as detailed with them as she can be, is a testament to just like, look, this is just an escapist fair picture. It's funny, we talked a little bit when we were watching the movie. I was mentioning a lot about like the Ocean's 11 movies. And, you know, Ocean's 12 gets a lot of flack. I don't think it deserves it.
Right.
But that movie is very much trying to operate in the mode of To Catch a Thief. It is doing a European travelogue, big movie stars, escapist entertainment, worlds unknown, or just like exotic locations. And this film is like the template for that. I mean, what's a film that we think of as Hitchcock that isn't Hitchcock? It's Charade. And and this film is very much something that Charade utilizes to its advantage in terms of its charm and its flight of fancy. So we keep going. He's on the beach. He is being trailed. He's being trailed by somebody. He's being looked at, being watched.
Yeah.
By who I called, the shortest beach bully ever.
We also see Grace Kelly the first time in this scene, but you don't necessarily catch on that it's her.
No,
there's a close up on her, and she just is watching him because he just came out of the water.
Because he's Cary Grant, and he just came out of the water.
Well, I mean, yeah,
but as a character, it's intrigue. It's just like, I think I know who this person is.
Yeah.
And does she know?
But she's in like a big hat and sunglasses. You don't really see that it's her. You could pick her out if you knew her, but
you could be like, "Hey, isn't that a princess?"
It's easy to miss at the same time.
Yeah, so she's one of many people. She could be one of the many people that
are watching him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like when Senator Kelly comes out of the water in X-Men, everybody's looking. Like but Stan Lee, you don't obviously pick him out right away.
Right.
But so he then goes to a flower market in the middle of a square.
He gets a phone call from the restaurant.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, he gets a phone call from the restaurant.
And we get that my issue with that weird guy who just seems to be everywhere.
Yes. So explain your dilemma with
So there's this guy who comes up to Cary Grant and tells him he has a phone call. And the guy, from what he's doing, he works at the beach club. And he's exercising while he's kind of between his duties.
He's doing fitness in cinema.
Yeah,
it's almost as if he stole my idea before I was born.
But there's a little kind of throw off, I think, for the audience where you see him trying to listen in on the conversation.
Yeah, while doing his pull-ups or whatever. He's kind of he's snooping on him. And when you addressed that to me, I thought it was interesting because I'm like, well, it's fascinating. He's a misdirect, ultimately.
Right, because he ends up working for Bertani, the restaurant guy.
Yeah, while also kind of working a bunch of different, it's a con guy.
But he's kind of like in the scene. So then I was like, well, maybe he was in there just to make people think he's the cat burglar.
Yeah, exactly. Which we won't reveal the identity of the cat burglar just yet.
Yet.
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah.
We gotta keep that secret. So
right.
If we mention it at any point, we'll do what Quentin does and just put a big beep. So he gets the call from the restaurateur, and then he leaves that area.
He says he's going to hook him up with this strange guy who was asking about crime and the jewels and stuff.
Yes.
So he's going to meet this guy at a flower market.
Right. And so we go to a flower market, and you were telling me, and I thought this was interesting in the perspective of, like, he wanted to originally shoot this in a carnival.
It was going to be a carnival parade.
Yeah.
And they switched it to a flower market to save time and money, which I think is smart.
And it would have been interesting if he had done it in the carnival because of just, like, he does the fair in Strangers on a Train to do the European diametric opposite of that.
I think it was smarter to do a flower market because, like, a carnival parade would have been kind of big and flashy, and they need to save that for the fireworks scene later, and then the ball at the end.
So you got to build up to it.
Yeah, you got to, because I was like, oh, carnival parade. It just reminds me of, again, a Bond movie. It's like, let's just stick in a cool set piece.
Yeah.
Let's just have something happen here. But I like that it's toned down.
All right, Carrie, you're going to run through the Day of the Dead parade
Right.
there, and you're going to do some parkour.
Yeah.
You ever heard of parkour? It's a French word. I don't know what it means, but just do it. Parkour.
Yeah.
But no, the flower shop does provide a good use of the color as well, the color scheme, and if which we'll talk a little bit about Robert Burks at this point because, like, he shoots the hell out of this movie with the color photography. And we talked a little bit about the helicopter shots, but Hitchcock was good with when he made a color film, he knew how to use color.
Yeah.
And he accentuates these flowers really well. So much so that there's a lot of process shots in Hitchcock films, obviously. This one in particular has a lot of layering because of the location shooting mixed with what would be on a controlled set. When Robie is talking to none other than H.H. Hewson of the insurance company. John Williams. No, not that John Williams. He didn't score a space movie.
He was in Dial In for Murder.
Yes, as Chief Inspector Hubbard, the greatest Hitchcock cop of all time.
And I think he repeated that role for the TV version of Dial In for Murder.
And he did. And so and I was it is a if you haven't, it's not out yet, but in in Marshall's episode on Dial In for Murder, I am demanding more Inspector Hubbard novels. I want an animated kid show.
Yeah.
I want all the things we're never gonna get.
Nice,
because John Williams is long dead. But that mustache is unmistakable too. So we'll see him in other Hitchcock films as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny. Hubbard is a well-known character. I think Hewson might be the thing he'll be most known for down the line because people watch To Catch a Thief, even if they don't know what Hitchcock is, like they know that character. And this is it's a stereotypical British character of just stuffy.
Yeah.
But he's so much fun.
Yeah.
He plays into the scene. He knows how to interact with Grant.
He does his nervous insurance man shtick very well.
Yeah, and he plays off of Cary Grant's confidence.
Yeah,
and it's a nice interaction between those two anytime they're on screen together. But their conversation in front of the flowers provides that second layer. So when you're looking at the background process shot, it looks a little bit more meshed together well than it does with other process shots like driving scenes or clearly we're on a set but we need a big background. So this one kind of adds a layer of dimension.
Yeah.
And when we talked about Dial In for Murder, that's also done in scenes where they're looking outside of the apartment from in. Mm-hmm. So it's about knowing how to set that up, and it's a testament to a cinematographer who knows what's going to work within the frame and what won't.
Right.
And also to Hitchcock, knowing what those process shots will be like.
Yeah.
So they discuss the insurance game and what would be the list of people who would be at risk for jewel heists of this nature.
Yeah, that's John Robie's plan is to try to catch the other cat. He's going to be like, I need to know who the targets are.
Well, in order to know where the cat's going to be, I need to I have a list of things, and I need to track these people down.
It takes a thief to catch a thief.
That's Alma, get them a contract. I don't care if I'm dead. Get these buffoons a contract. Next, Martin and Lewis. And then he can go on and make French films. It'll be interesting. So yeah, they then meet up back at Robie's place, where Robie goes into his background. And I talked a little bit about this again on the first episode, but this is the first of two instances where Cary Grant's actual history melds into
the character.
And, whether that's Grant insisting on John Michael Hayes, hey, make my character originally an acrobat.
Right.
But Cary Grant was indeed an acrobat for vaudeville before he got into movies, amongst other things, and kind of, wandered around Europe. He was born in England and comes to America, and that's why he has that distinct voice that only Cary Grant has.
Right.
Not quite Cockney, not quite from the Midwest.
Right.
It's what's funny? Like I always describe it to myself as like it's what we think of continental, even though it's clearly not continental.
Isn't that like the term? Isn't that close to the term
continental? Yeah.
Continental.
Yeah. He's very sophisticated and this suave and debonair guy. Like he's got the charm about him that the melding of those two accents plays off as something that's only unique to him.
Mid-Atlantic.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's from Jersey.
Yeah.
Yes. Snoogans. Noinch.
So I love this scene because this is where Houston has gotten the list together of his clients. Is like they're meeting for lunch so that he can get this, so they can give this list to Robie.
Yeah.
And then they can talk about it. And he's super nervous because he doesn't know if John Robie is the current cat or not.
Yeah. So he's playing it close to the chest.
Yeah. And Cary Grant is not making it like easy for him at all.
Yeah.
Like he's like, how many people did you kill in the war?
72.
And he's like, 72. And he's like,
and guess who's going to be 73?
Yeah, and he says, "Oh, my maid strangled a German general once without a sound."
And it's such a great joke because she comes out of frame. She's in frame first. She's giving the food, and she walks out, and she's like, "Yeah, she killed people."
Yeah. And then Houston's still trying to find like a good quality in John Robie so that he can trust him. He's like, "Well, I heard you were kind of a modern Robin Hood. You gave away most of what you robbed." And he goes, "No, I kept everything myself."
It reminds me of that 2,000-year-old man bit. Like, you didn't know Robin Hood. He stole from everybody and kept everything.
Yeah.
And so he's giving him really no reason to trust him other than I know how to do this.
I can catch the person.
It's like, look, none of my history is going to convince you that I am trustworthy. What I can just tell you is, please trust me.
Yeah.
And there's the element, and there's a discussion about, there's a discussion that comes down the line, and it's also kind of brought up earlier about like I went to war to pay for a lot of the mistakes that I had made in committing those thefts.
Because he was arrested
prior to the war,
and he was in jail.
Yeah, and then he fought on the condition of a pardon.
Right.
And which, I mean, amongst other things, not all of his friends who were also thieves ever got to see that pardon because they died in the war.
Right.
So it's not even like it's parole. They're not even on pardon; they're on parole.
Yeah.
So he's on thin ice.
I think they are pardons. I think they say they were pardons in the movie.
I thought they said they were paroles.
He's on in this scene he's on parole,
right?
Because he just got arrested at the flower market.
Yes, that's right.
So he's on parole currently.
Yes,
but they were pardons from their crimes before the war.
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, so we cleared that.
We cleared that up.
Yeah. So Houston eventually relents. And he's just like,
well, and Cary Grant's like, have some more wine.
Yeah, let me ply you.
Yeah.
Let me ply you with alcohol.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You will be a little more loose to trust
Let's get
me.
some social lubricant to help you feel better. Yeah.
Drink this last one. I'll turn you into a human walrus. So it's agreed.
Yeah.
He's going to assume an identity to start to weed out who could be the thief.
Yeah.
So he starts off with the Stevensons, and we are brought back to the Ritz-Carlton.
That's right.
And the Stevens, sorry, not Stevensons, Stevens. And we are introduced again to Grace Kelly and to the best mother in Hitchcock history, or at least the most lovable. Best is probably Norma Bates because she's Norma Bates.
Oh, yeah.
But if we're going to talk about the funnest one, I think it's a competition between this and North by Northwest when she plays Cary Grant's mom.
That's right.
But in this one, she's Grace Kelly's mom. We're bringing back up Jessie Royce Landis, my favorite gal to talk about.
Did you know she also played Grace Kelly's mom in The Swan?
Yes. So she's very good. And what's interesting to note, she's Cary Grant's age.
Yeah,
and she's having to play older.
Age. That's right.
It's very clear they're the same age.
She's a great actress.
Yeah, she's a great actress. She knows how to play off of like, look, I know that there is a age inequality in this industry,
right.
but I'm gonna play this to the hill. She shines too in North by Northwest with that whole line about like, you boys aren't really trying to kill my boy, are you? But she's she is none other than Jessie Stevens.
Yeah.
And her daughter Frances, played by Grace Kelly. They're walking through the hotel, and Jessie is a more down-to-earth socialite.
Yeah, so this goes back to the American Tourist thing we were talking about earlier. It's like it's very elegant, but she's super down-to-earth. She's just like, I don't like champagne, I like bourbon.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't like fake people. I like real. I like real people. It's kind of refreshing. It's just like, oh, here's just a normal person with their head on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Who just happens to have money and travels around.
Yeah.
He's just enjoying the money.
It's kind of the elegance that she wears on the outside with clothing and stuff like that is very much just like a facade to a certain extent.
Yeah,
and that's deepened later when we find out more about her and her family history.
I also want to point out Grace Kelly's wearing ice blue.
Yes.
So they're giving her a cold outer demeanor.
Yes. She's
no feeling.
The cool blonde is what I call it. Willocks. Let me tell you about Hitchcock 101. Yeah, no, it is. And again, that's Edith Head, and Hitchcock coming together and going like, how can we identify this?
Yeah.
What's interesting is that terminology is used for the cool blonde and whatnot. This is the film. This is a film where he's allowed to be on the nose, and it still falls in line with elegance for him.
Right.
Obviously, critics don't always latch on to that when it's happening.
Yeah.
But we're looking in the future now. We're seeing it from a perspective like backward. We're seeing this as just like, well, this is just where he was allowed to be a little bit more loose with his terminology in a way that. In Rear Window, I think it's a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
And it's not subtle so much as it's just. It's not as pronounced or extravagant.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're in an apartment complex versus the French Riviera.
Right.
So there's a difference between the two. So they're at the table. They go. They're gambling at the table, and John Robie approaches and finds a way to get introduced to them by. I'm trying to. He basically claims that he had chips down there.
Yeah. He drops a gambling chip down the front of a woman's dress because he's kind of standing over her.
Exactly, and it's risque.
And then he says, "Madam, that was a 10,000 franc plaque." And then she gives him a stack of chips, and he goes, "I'll trust you too. I won't count it." So he's very clever and funny in trying to get
and Jessie
Stevenson's attention.
And Jessie laughs her head off.
Yeah,
and again, Jessie Royce Landis is able to convince you that she would be infatuated by this young upstart.
Yeah.
Even though the age, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so it cuts to them talking. Jesse's very involved with him. Hewson's there, and Hewson's kind of just still... just a nervous wreck of a man.
He's just doing his job.
He's socially awkward in this situation because it's just like, I just need to know how many more jewels my company's going to have to pay for. And then meanwhile, Frances is just kind of like, I don't like this guy. Or I don't trust him, or something like something's off, and she's being
cool.
Quiet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse's trying to instigate a relationship.
Like, why haven't you made a pass at my daughter?
Yeah. Which you do not hear that today.
No.
And you will never hear it today. Like, that is never said out loud. Jessie Royce Landis said the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet. But Grant is pretending to be a lumberman from Oregon named Mr. Burns.
Conrad Burns.
Yeah.
What a name.
What a name. It sounds like a character that Vincent Price should be playing in some kind of horror movie.
Yeah.
I'm Conrad Burns. Welcome to my factory, children. I'm Conrad Burns and the Death Factory. So they retire for the evening. Frances is brought back to her room by John Robie, and this is a good time to bring up the music by Lynn Murray.
Well,
because
I want to talk about the music, and I also want to talk about Alfred Hitchcock's view on the women he preferred.
Yes.
Because I think was it Truffaut? In
Truffaut.
Truffaut's book, he asked him. He's like, people prefer a Marilyn Monroe type. Someone where sex is on display.
Yeah.
Sex appeal is on display. And Hitchcock said, I much prefer English women who dress like librarians and secretaries, and then they're very wild the next minute. And so I think that's sort of what he was doing with Grace
Frances.
Kelly in this scene. It's just she's very cold, and withdrawn, and all of a sudden, boom, hot kiss, right there at the
cue
door.
a saxophone.
Yeah, cue the saxophone. Wow, 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 wow.
And then Cary Grant turns around and he's got lipstick on his face.
I love the look on his face there, because it's like when he makes those kind of faces, it's like, one, he knows more than you. Two, he finds it amusing. Whatever he's thinking about is amusing. And three, he's also maybe a little flabbergasted. Like, oh, that was interesting. He
does that with he has it's a breaking the fourth wall in a way that it doesn't distract. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's done it in other Hitchcock films before, but this one in particular is kind of just like it's a little sly commentary on the romance element. Like, we know what we're doing.
But
here.
I mean, it just like it shows that like there's more going on in his head than you realize.
It adds a depth that only Grant can add, because that and that stems partially from the persona, but it also stems from his ability to kind of think on his feet. Hitchcock didn't like improv.
Right.
But Hitchcock wasn't going to turn away the performance like that, I don't think. And I think that has to come from Grant instinctively knowing how to play that scene. Because Hitchcock would it's not that he wouldn't direct the actors, but he was very much like, you as the character can do what you want so long as you stay in my frame. And so this is Grant showing Grant off.
Yeah.
And yes, the reserved nature of her until she decides, I'm into this, then suddenly color schemes will change, and that music will change, and that music ends up coming to play down the line in terms of this is the last score that Hitchcock has by somebody that's not Bernard Herrmann until the Bernard Herrmann wave kicks.
Right.
And it starts with Trouble with Harry, it ends with Marnie. And the music that Lynn Murray does is very fanciful. When it does the burglary scenes, it's effectively dramatic and kind of I would call it even melodramatic to an extent of just the way it's playing up this is danger, but this is excitement, this is romance. They're very on the spot cues, and he plays a lot with the romance in this movie. So it's the next day. There's been another burglary, and it's Stevens' jewelry has gone missing.
Oh, no. You're jumping ahead.
No. Oh, that's right. No, it's another robbery.
It's just another person got robbed.
Just another person got robbed.
But Cary Grant and Houston are at the Stevensons' hotel room.
Yep, and they're basically talking about the jewelry, and we learn more about what her level of importance is with this jewelry.
Because Houston's trying to get her to put the jewels in the hotel safe, and she's just like, I didn't buy them to put away. I bought them to wear.
Yeah, it's like, what am I going to do? Wear the safe around my neck?
Yeah, and she's like, and I have them insured, and she's like, so
yeah, we're all
fine.
We're all gravy.
Yeah,
and then she puts a cigarette out in an egg.
Yeah. And there's a close up on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I guess I didn't notice till today, and I was like, oh, is that a sexual thing? Like a phallic object being put out in an egg?
Which that could be, and it's also Hitchcock liked his food shots.
And he didn't like eggs.
Yeah,
isn't that true? He didn't like eggs.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Did I like eggs?
Ha!
It's funny because they don't know.
I thought that was something I read that he didn't like eggs.
If he didn't like eggs, wow.
But
it's weird.
I wouldn't put too much weight into that.
No, it's totally. He had a hefty diet, but maybe that's just like, no, that's just the one thing I can't do. I can do a salad.
And you also said it was like sort of a rich person to do.
Their wealth suggests that they can just
waste
food by putting used tobacco in there.
Yeah.
Now, I highly doubt that that's the definite reason.
Yeah.
But that's me reading into it, going like, "Ha, the bourgeois."
Well, I mean,
but like, and again, like, it is also just like it's a funny moment.
Yeah.
Again, we are dealing with a fanciful movie.
Yeah.
So like, it's a moment of comedy. So they're as they're talking about this, Frances enters, and she's in a little bit more of a bright, optimistic.
She's
costume.
in a warmer color.
Yeah, and she has flowers on it and blends in with the couch.
Yeah.
And that's a nice little touch of design where the art director and the costume designer are working hand in tandem to create an image that stands out. She doesn't like sink into it, but it's very clear that there's a matching point.
Yeah, I think she's warming up to John Robie.
Her relationship with him is starting to blossom like
Oh.
a flower.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that one was risque. So they decide they're going to go swimming. But Robie, we should be pointing out, this goes back to the Cary Grant not being attainable.
Yeah,
he doesn't really want to go swimming.
No,
He's got
he
shit
doesn't.
to do.
He's like, okay.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I guess you're Grace Kelly. Sure.
Yeah.
Why not? So he meets her in the hotel lobby, and suddenly she's in
she's a very flashy outfit.
Very flashy outfit. A big black bathing suit, white skirt that's the long waist skirt.
Big white hat. Everyone in the hotel lobby is staring at her, and it's making him nervous.
All the guys, all the guys in their short 50s, 60s bathing suits.
Well, I think he's nervous because he doesn't want the attention, right?
He's just like, I'm on the lowdown, sister. I'm trying to catch some thieves.
Right.
I'm doing the title of the movie, and you are making a scene.
Right.
Just by being Grace Kelly. Now, then they walk to the beach. They go to the beach, and Robie interacts with Danielle once again, who has noticed that they are here and swims out, and he meets her out there, and Danielle just keeps just flirting up a storm with Cary Grant.
Yeah, laying it on thick.
Yeah, and so much to the point visually she is literally posing like it's just like, come at it, boy.
Mm-hmm.
And and I don't know if we pointed it out, but Brigitte Aubert, she's older than Grace Kelly.
A year older.
And she has to play younger.
She has to play a teenager.
Yeah, and the joke in the scene to follow is that they're cackling at each other about how...
In the cat fight.
That cat fight. And
they sort of have a verbal cat fight scene.
And if you've ever wanted to see the full Technicolor epic version of Cary Grant going, this is it.
I love him in the scene because he's like, well, I can't stop them from being jealous of each other, and then at one point Grace Kelly's like, are you enjoying yourself, Mr. Burns? And he just goes, oh, I love it, the sun is shining, it's very nice out here, and it's just it's so funny because it's just just someone who's laughing at just the situation that they're in. And you have a little bit of the actual Cary Grant coming through, his shy demeanor. He was always famous as saying I want to be Cary Grant. Everybody wants to be Cary Grant, even me. And so he's clearly letting a little bit of his shyness kind of pop through. Mm-hmm. So there's the discussion of just what are you doing here? Why are you hanging around with Grace Kelly? And and he goes, that's a stupid question. So they have that little cat fight, and then the lines are made clear for this. And he goes back to the beach. We meet our beach bully again, and he's still working at the beach club.
Yeah, and he's kind of looking off to a guy who's on the top level of the beach. And Cary Grant,
I think that's a cop.
It's a cop, yeah. And Cary Grant goes back to the hotel. The cop follows him. And there's an exchange by him and Francis to, I'm going to go out and looking for villas.
To rent.
Except he's not. He's going to go find the locations of where things are going to be.
He's going to go scout the rooftops.
He's just like,
where robbery's going to be.
I gotta do some location scouting for this film. So then she's just like, well, I'll come along.
Let's go on a picnic.
Yeah, exactly. I'll bring chicken and beer. And he's just like, well, that does sound delicious. I guess. So they get in their car and they drive off, and the police are tailing them. And these two cops are a lot of fun. And unlike other Hitchcock movies where they're played for absolute buffoons, this one is a little bit more in-jokey of just like, look, yeah, they're cops, but they're also going to have their fun. They flagrantly forget their duties while trailing him.
So they stop at Cary Grant and Grace Kelly stop at one of the villas, quote unquote, for rent. Yeah. And Cary Grant and Grace Kelly are just walking around talking. This is where we have like another. It's where we talked about that dialogue scene. That was cut
and it starts in the car.
Pieces.
Yeah. And then they pull up to the villa and they start talking about it. And the villa is where we get a lot of that phallic imagery coming back.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, two of the bushes look explicitly like
that. Like, that's true. I didn't
it's not even just. It's not spherical. Like it's literally just like no, that bush goes in front of that one and see what it creates. Ha ha.
But yeah. So and while they're at this villa, Brittany shows up, doesn't say hello.
But he's
there. Cary Grant and him see each other, and then he walks off, and it's like, what is he doing there?
Yeah, and Brittany's and what it's later found as Brittany is casing the joint. But
don't say that yet.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Shh. Oh, yeah. I have to bleep it. Like
bleep that.
Oh, Quentin, get in here. Yes, man. I'll go ahead and bleep it, man. But they are in the middle of their most flirty conversation yet, to the point where they talk about his fake history as a lumberman, and she says the wonderful line, I bet you told the women all your trees were sequoias.
Sequoias, yeah.
And to which the audience...
he goes, and Cary, I love his response. He goes, sure sounds like jealousy to me.
Yeah.
And
Hitchcock goes, ha!
Yeah.
On set.
Yeah.
Hitch, will you stop doing that?
But, yeah. And then, so they leave that villa. They're going to go driving again, and we see the cops playing like hacky sack or something.
I think they're playing with a piece of paper.
Oh, okay.
It looks like a piece of paper. Like they're just children. Like they're just like, whoopee.
But I mean, it's a stakeout, so they're just waiting for them to get on the road again, and then they have to jump in the car and take off.
So, Robert, you think about getting onto the knife? Nah, man, I'd be a cop forever.
And it's in this next sequence where Grace Kelly reveals that she knows Cary Grant is John. She says, "You,
I know that
you are John Robie the cat."
And the music cues in with that, dun, 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 but not that explicit note. Meanwhile, they are still being tailed.
Yeah.
But then, thankfully, a chicken crosses the road.
Right.
Many jokes begin with that line, and it's nice to know that Hitchcock said, "What if I just visualized this?"
Well, and. I think there was a play on the poulet is chicken.
Yeah.
And I think poulet is also has something to do with French cops.
Yeah. Might be. I don't know.
I'd have to look that up. But I'm sorry, I'm not prepared.
No, it's okay. Heck, you're more prepared than most people would ever be in any situation involving French discussion. Right?
But and that's when we get to the picnic scene.
Yeah. Oh, before that, we should say that these cops have been stopped by the chicken, and
they swerve to miss the chicken in the road.
Yeah.
And they crash.
Yeah, but we don't see the crash. We see the aftermath, which I think is actually more effective, like just to edit back to there.
Me
just
too,
like, what happened to those cops? And it's just them trying to get the chicken's insurance.
And the chicken is and it's no good because it's chicken insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not regular insurance.
Paid with chicken feed seeds.
Yeah.
See,
that's not going to fix a car.
Yeah. So they. That's their lawyers. That Southern Hyper Chicken from Futurama.
Right.
So they have the picnic, and since she's got him on a bit of a dangling string here, he's trying to play off.
He's trying to deny it.
He says, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about, lady."
Yeah. But there's another sexual innuendo joke here. She goes to leg or breast, and he goes, "You choose."
Hitch, I told you for the last time. Stop being immature on this set. He gets the food out for him, and they kind of just talk about like how did she figure it out, and the banter back and forth. It's the playful kind of banter that we were discussing with this dialogue is like it's good romantic dialogue. It's the evolution of what screwball exchange would be.
It's very playful. They're both kind of trying to outsmart each other, and they're both they're fulfilling that. They're both not outsmarting each other, but they're both keeping up with each other.
Yeah, and she's starting to let her colors show about what she admires or what she's finding attractive.
She's finding his burglar lifestyle exciting.
Yes.
She says the kitten gets the cat gets a new kitten because she wants to help him with his robberies, and he's like I think he stops denying it near the end, but he's just like, we're not gonna do this.
No.
Yeah.
But
then they kiss.
No, not today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Then they kiss.
Yeah. And then she blackmails him into dinner.
Yeah, she says, if you don't show up for dinner, I'll have you paged everywhere as John Robie, the cat.
He's like, well, shit.
Yeah. And then there's a line I pointed it out earlier. It's in the beginning of right at the beginning of the picnic scene. She says, "You're like an American in an English movie. You just don't talk the way you're supposed to."
Yeah, and she talks about the different things that Americans are supposed to talk about.
And I was like, that's funny because this is an Englishman, it's an American movie, but it's the English director.
Yeah.
And they're in France, and he's, and Cary Grant's sort of an American.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Partial American, yeah. So they're playing off of these tropes.
Yeah, I thought that was a very tongue-in-cheek moment.
And again, this is going back to, because he can be this fanciful, since it's not a construction effort like Vertigo or Man Who Knew Too Much or Rear Window, he is able to throw in those little in-jokes. That's why you can get a head turn after a kiss. That's why you can get, the phallic imagery even.
Mm-hmm.
This is why you can get away with these overt images, is because you are living in fantasy land.
Yeah.
You are not living in, all of Hitchcock's films take place in a fantasy of sorts because they're all escapist entertainment to one degree or another. But, obviously the world that Psycho inhabits is much more down to earth than, say, what we're dealing with on the French Riviera.
Right, yeah.
So they meet up for dinner in the hotel room and
for cocktails.
Yes, for cocktails.
Cocktails and dinner.
Yes. And there's a fireworks show going in the background. And big old metaphor here, and time to bring in George Tomasini into this mix as an editor, because Hitchcock normally is noted, obviously, for his preparation and detail, and a lot of things are storyboarded in the process. But that does not mean you don't have the involvement of the editor in finding what moments work the best in which to cut them in. And this is a scene that works really well for Tomasini's talent into constructing this scene where we have these fireworks in the background, and then when we get to the eventual climax of the scene, we you see what they did? It's, oh God, they're better than Larry the Cable Guy, Alma. So but you see the kind of like the way he's able to insert that, what's essentially a process shot in the wides of this fireworks show. He's able to close in on that in the middle of their embrace by the end of this scene. But this is very much a scene of her still infatuated with his robbery and him still denying it. And she tempts him with these jewels around her neck.
And she's dressed in white.
Yeah.
Which showing, maybe how innocent she is.
The purity element of everything.
He's dressed in just a black tuxedo.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of showing, you said
it's more of a mask for his.
More of a mask, yeah. Maybe showing him he could be a bad guy.
Yeah, they're playing with his and they're playing with lighting as well, where she gets more brightly lit angles, and he's kind of in a cross where there's a slash of light across his face. It's not noir. That it would be a great label to pin it on sometimes, but it's just clever lighting within that dark embrace.
And there's a couple shots where her face is entirely in shadow, and you can't see anything.
And you're focusing solely on those pearls,
on the pearls jewelry and her chest.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's very prominent in this scene.
It's just like yes.
And I think that's also funny. It's like kind of shows like maybe you can't trust her entirely, or maybe she's also showing herself as more of an object, being faceless to him, than
which is and that kind of implicates of just like, well, what does Robie care about,
right? And
we're playing with that idea, even though we have already been set up that Robie has very much established what his priorities are,
right?
So this is a play on that. She's goading him on, and then the scene ends with him embracing the jewelry under his hand.
They sit down on the couch, and meanwhile, as the scene progresses, the fireworks are getting bigger, and they're showing more close-up shots of the fireworks. They're getting bigger and grander.
Bring on more M80s. I want whiz bangers and all the black cats you can have.
But she literally she kisses his hands, and then she literally puts the necklace in his hand.
Yeah,
and and it's kind of funny. It's like I said, I think the necklace is also just talking about her
purity,
and her virginity, and she's just like saying, "Here it is. It's in your hands."
Yeah, and it's another example of how he is ultimately playing up the imagery of this film and just being, it's on the nose, but again, you are dealing with this escapist fare, and also it's we've talked about how you identify the imagery in these films and whatnot. Hitchcock is a great teaching tool for how to identify imagery in film. Whether intentional or not. Obviously, sometimes some film theorists latch onto certain things or read into something that may not be there. Hitchcock actually dealt a lot with this with the discussion of a scene in Torn Curtain where an of a German official on the Russian side being killed by having his head shoved in a gas oven. This is in the post World War II era. And it's an imagery that Hitchcock had addressed, and he's just like, well, that wasn't intentional. And it's like, but it's there. And so do with this what you will.
Right.
So he plays with this in a much more lighthearted fashion, obviously.
And I think the way they shot it, you could also say, well, maybe they make out for a little bit and she just innocently falls asleep on the couch.
Yes, exactly.
They show it that way, but you can also be like, yeah, but we're trying to tell it, trying to say different things in the scene.
Exactly.
And he says, he's holding the necklace. He goes, as well as I do, this necklace is imitation. She says, but I'm not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's when they kiss, and that's when the fucking orgasm fireworks go off.
Yes, exactly. And so and again, Tomasini knowing when to cut it in between those different moments.
Yeah.
Because it cuts in between the conversation, too.
Yeah.
And as the scene progresses, the fireworks get more intense. And, it's not audible, but you can hear Hitchcock in the background going, more fireworks!
Yeah.
I don't care if we're in Nebraska. I don't care what fire code we break.
And this is also a scene where Lynn Murray was told to tone down the saxophone because it was too sensual.
Exactly. So we can bring up the Sherlock office. Sherlock office, notorious for attempting to ruin Hitchcock's films. Amongst other things, they were going to trim the hell out of Psycho until Hitchcock was able to fool them, and he did it again. Well, he did this for the first time. One of the first times, Sherlock had entered the offices at this point, and they said, "You've got to tone down that scene." And he told Tomasini, "Don't touch anything."
They just changed the music.
George, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Lynn, take out that sax. I'm sorry. Take it out.
No sexy sax.
No sexy sax. What do you think this is? The Shadow? We're not doing The Shadow. What is that? It's a movie. It hasn't come out yet. It's based on something we know today.
Yeah.
But it won't come out until later. It will star a Baldwin brother. Oh God! At the moment sidetrack for a second. The moment you told me that there's Kenny G music in The Shadow is when I finally realized it was in there. Like I'd watched that movie for years, never thought about it.
Yeah.
And then you pointed it out to me, and I'm just like, it's fucking ruined.
Well, I love The Shadow.
I do too.
But it's so jarring.
It's like, why? We were just listening to swing music in
I know,
the other scene. But so
anyway,
the scene ends. It's the next day, or it's later that evening.
It's later that evening. You see, Robie's taking off his black coat,
so
and
he's
his
taking
tie.
off his mask.
So he's now innocent.
Yes,
he's in white, but he's waiting up for the cat.
Yeah, he's trying to catch the cat in action. He's trying to catch a thief.
And shit. And that's when Grace Kelly bursts in the room.
She's like, give them back.
And she's like, give them back to me. And now she's talking about her virginity again.
Yes. Which is like, sorry, I can't do that.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's kind of hard now.
Yeah, exactly.
But we find out that
George, don't touch it. Don't change that frame.
Jesse Stevens, Grace Kelly's mom's jewels have been stolen.
Yes, exactly. And he's just like, well, I'm not.
He's like, I didn't take them.
I didn't take them. And she's finally just laying into like, I know what you are, and this is clearly the realist. So it's like her infatuation with it is over because now she thinks it's affecting her.
Because she's the victim.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. So she is now infuriated with this, and now her infatuation with the thief lifestyle is kind of dissolving a little bit for her.
Yeah.
So
because she lost something as well.
Yeah. So yes.
Ha!
Do I need to say it again?
No, but it's clear. No, her innocence is lost in this
Yeah.
situation. Now she's a little bit more open to, or her mind is now seeing what has been going on.
What's actually
from her perspective?
what his lifestyle actually
yes
consists of,
and what are the consequences of that?
Yeah.
And so he goes into the apartment without Grace Kelly's knowledge, and talks to Jessie, the mother. And it's just like, well, like I mean, I don't.
He tells her, "I'm actually a jewel thief called John Roby the cat," and she's just delighted.
She's just like, "Oh my!
She's like,
I haven't
how-
seen one of you people in
Yeah,
years."
she's like, "How exciting!"
Yeah,
and she doesn't care that her jewels were stolen.
She's just
just
like,
like they were fun at first, but it's really not worth it.
That guy with the wonderful mustache will take care of
That's
us. Honey,
right,
relax. And then it's revealed within this that when Frances comes back in to confront Robie further, and she's doing her own little detective work and playing with the umbrella, which is a funny little scene, and more imagery being played with there, but also just a matter of just like, it's Grace Kelly having fun with an umbrella.
Right.
Like, it's just like she could be doing like a tap dance at that point. It'd be hilarious. But it's revealed within there, like, Frances, your dad was a scoundrel
Yeah,
too.
she says
Your
dad was a swindler.
Yeah, your dad was a scruffy-looking nerf herder.
But he was a charming one.
Yes, exactly. And
So-
she's embittered by this. It's because of him that we had that I had to shelter you from people like him for
Yeah.
years. And she's just like, well,
Because people are after their money.
yeah.
and
It's like,
stuff,
well,
yeah.
clearly you're not doing a great job if you're seducing the people.
Plus, you can see where Grace Kelly's character, why she's attracted to
A thief.
John Roby.
Obviously, there's a bit of an ideation of the father. And,
Yeah.
what he does, and so the police have arrived, but John Roby disappears.
Yeah.
And is up on the roofs and escapes that way. And he lays low by pretending to be a fisherman, possibly preparing for an old man in the
That's
sea.
right.
Hewson comes to see him, and they go over like, I know who it is.
Not yet.
Oh no!
I think he knows who the next victim
He
is
knows
going
who
to
the
be.
next victim is going to be, and they go over like, well, and Houston's worried about the risk that it's involved on him.
Yeah.
too.
So he tells Houston to tell the police to go to this location.
Yeah.
They said the cat will be there. I will be there.
Yeah. And
She's trying to trap the cat.
Yeah, and then so then we cut to the villa that we had visited earlier, where that had been cased. Or no, this is not the same one.
So this is the nighttime scene where you
Yeah.
don't see anybody walking around, but you see bushes and shadows moving.
So this is one of those examples of the pure cinema again. Like, there's only a few sounds, and the few sounds that we really hear have to do with people in agony or falling off of a cliff. But the gist of the scene is you see that the place is quiet, there's nothing about, and then the camera pans over to someone being attacked.
Somebody has John Roby in a headlock.
Yeah, somebody has John Roby in a headlock, and then you see the blunt image of a wrench that's going to go down.
Yeah, and then there's somebody else there with a wrench, and I can only assume the person with the wrench.
It's going after Roby.
But we don't find out who that is, do we?
No,
the person
we
with
don't.
The wrench.
But it might. More than likely, it's one of two things. It's either Bertani, which I highly doubt,
or that younger guy at the beach club,
or the younger guy at the beach club. Yes, and again, this all ties into what the big reveal will be.
Right.
But it is revealed that the father of Danielle, Foussad,
the Bond henchman with
yeah.
the limp and the white streak.
Curses, James, you defeated me. Well, I guess that's one croissant he won't be eating this evening. That was a terrible one-liner. Albert, get in here and change this fucking dialogue. Right. So he dies. The cat. So feasibly, the cat burglaries have been solved.
That's what the police think. That's the story they told the newspapers.
Yes, exactly. And Houston's trying to figure out, like, when will these jewels be recovered so that maybe we can avoid having to write a check for 92 million francs.
Yeah.
And John Roby comes in and just goes, "Bravo! You solved the mystery."
Well, they. Yeah, so they're in the police chief's office. Houston is in the police chief's office, and he's trying to ask him. He's like, do I have to write a check, or do you think you can recover the jewels?
Yeah, and he's like, well, it'll take some time.
And Robie comes in right then and says, I would say it takes several centuries.
Yeah.
So, and because now he's free because they quote unquote caught the cat.
Yes, exactly.
But then Robie reveals to Houston, he's like, oh, he had a wooden leg.
Yeah, you didn't know Foussard didn't have that?
Yeah.
You were able to, carefully not reveal that to the papers, and he's just like, you're free because the cat burglar was caught, but the day I see you on a roof will be the day that I arrest you.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, I'm going to catch the cat burglar tonight. And then
then he says he's going to go to Foussard's funeral.
Yeah.
And he says where the cat will be, and then they're like, do you know who the cat is? And that's when he says, I do know who the cat is.
Yes, but I'm going to catch him because I've got to prove it.
And they're like, well, tell us. And he goes, well, you wouldn't believe me.
Yeah. Which kind of falls back into the logic of one of the films previous to this, Dial In for Murder, of like, Hubbard has to be like, look, I have to see Ray Milland come through the door successfully in order to confirm that he is indeed the killer or the person who planned the killing. So it's the same logic of just like, I need a reason to show this wonderful climax on top of a roof. So they go to the funeral.
We need an exciting ending, so I'm not going to tell you who the burglar is right now.
Look, it's not as
just wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, I don't want the Dragnet announcer telling you what happened at the end at Los Angeles Superior Court. So he goes to the funeral, and all the other thieves are,
the whole restaurant crew
whole restaurant crew is there. Even the guy who dropped the plate, they're all there.
And remember, this guy with the peg leg was Danielle's father.
Yes, exactly. So Danielle is rightfully pissed. Yeah, like you killed my father. Like,
yeah, she calls him a murderer.
Yeah,
and then Cary Grant slaps her across the face.
Yeah. And like one of the lightest slaps imaginable. It's mainly just how it's filmed, but it was just interesting to notice. It's like, man, like it's very delicate. Like it's like, I know you're in mourning, but stop it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like and it's that 50s thing of just like it's okay to slap people.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, but he knows who the killer or who the thief is from the funeral. He leaves the funeral. In a crosscut from this, though, it is revealed that Francis finds out that he is not the burglar. That it was actually
that's
what
right.
they think is Foussard.
Yeah.
And
she apologized.
And Jesse's just like, well, you've got to make up for it in many different languages, sweetheart.
So
the only way that character would have been more exaggerated is if he was played by Mae West.
Yeah.
That would be the only way it would be even more like on the nose. So she apologizes, and he's just like, yeah, well, the cape is not over, sweetheart.
Yeah. So she apologizes.
Mm-hmm.
And then she confesses her love for him, and he goes, oh, like Cary Grant does.
Yeah. Like, I guess so.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then
I guess I am alluring and dynamic and charming.
So Cary Grant then tells her, I need an invitation to this gala ball because this is where we'll catch the cat.
Yes. Well, this is where we'll catch the thief.
The thief.
Yes.
Ha! Ha!
They planned a scheme.
Yeah.
We cut to
this ball scene,
which this is Edith.
And this is her.
This is Edith Head's shining hour.
Yeah, that's right.
We're dealing with Marie Antoinette and King Louis era French aristocracy and
gowns and costumes.
The most extravagant gowns you'll see. Like, the only way this gets any more extravagant is if Hitchcock is actually doing a period piece. So we have people coming through the ballroom and being introduced in their own way, and you get to see these gowns on display. And again, it's like it's a scene that's not necessarily entirely necessary to the plot. You don't need to show all those people coming through,
right?
But it's a chance to show that elegance Edith Head is able to bring to the table as well.
They're showing the wealth, because they're also doing close-ups of like people's jewelry, which is makes sense,
which pertains to the story itself, and it also ties into. We kind of talked a little bit about VistaVision and what its purpose was, like in terms of a visual format. It's mainly designed to bring people out of their houses watching television into the theater.
Yeah,
we try to create an experience in the theater, and so shots like that help with that. But with somebody like Hitchcock, he's able to make it useful to the story, and not necessarily like just fodder. It's not like a useless musical number or something
Right.
like that. There's a purpose behind it. So Grace Kelly enters in an elaborate golden gown with, like, I'm assuming, is her hair got golden speckles in it or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't notice that until today. Like, I was just like, well, that's her blonde hair.
Yeah.
But no, she's in a big elaborate gold dress. Her mother's in blue.
And we should point out that after the scene where she accuses Robie of theft, she goes back to that ice blue color.
Yes, because
she's cold to him.
Because she's cold on him until she reads the paper.
And then after the funeral, she's in a lighter color. She's in a warmer color again, and now she's in gold, which I was like, now she's the prize for John Robie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, if we're talking of like that 50s logic of just like, oh, this is the trophy at the end for the man to claim.
Yeah.
But like in the color before that, when they're outside of the funeral, you know, again, she goes like, it's white on the outside but black on the inside.
That's right.
And then the reverse is Cary Grant's got his black tie outward, but he's got his white. Like,
inside.
So there's an inverse.
They're kind of mirroring each other a little bit.
Yeah. But there's differences to that effect.
And he's also in gray. He's not in white or black like villain or hero.
Yes,
he's in
and
gray.
He's in the more realistic mode, which is just like, look, sometimes people do bad things for good reasons. So they go to the ball, and it is assumed from the setup as Grace Kelly in gold, the mother in blue, and he has a black mask on with a giant feather on it. Yes,
and a giant purple cloak.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the Slender Man, or like the if we're talking from a modern visual reference, it's like that black kind of masky figure you see running around at Halloween parties.
Yeah.
But there's obviously a historical connotation to it in this particular case, like the servant who's helping the court. The court. Mm-hmm. So we assume that's John Robie in there.
Well, we hear him talk.
It's got to be John Robie.
We hear him talk.
Yeah. So, got to be him.
So, the mother, they're getting drinks. The mother says, "Oh, I forgot my heart pills. Mm-hmm. John, can you be a dear and go get them?" John runs upstairs to get them and
comes back.
He comes back down with the heart pills, gives them to her, and then Grace Kelly and Cary Grant go dance.
Yes.
And then they dance the entire evening. They never leave the dance floor.
Yeah, you could say they dance the night away.
The night away.
Ha! I love Van Halen. Oh, Alma, you love running with the devil, don't you?
But they outdance everyone in the evening. The cops are just watching them.
Yeah, and then they finally retire.
Yeah, they're finally the last couple on the floor. Everyone, like, you slowly see everyone get drunk and then kind of retire to their rooms.
And the staff
and the orchestra just stops playing.
And they're just like, we're fucking done.
We're done.
Look, we are not here for you.
Yeah.
I got kids to feed or to see at home.
Right.
Goodbye. And so then the rest of the staff though gathers around, so it's clear that they are the cops who are staking this out.
Yeah.
So they retire to the room.
The cops follow them to the room.
Yeah. They go inside, and the black figure takes off his mask. It's Houston. Oh. So there's been a switch.
There's been a switcheroo.
Yes. There's been a crisscross. Crisscross.
And then they
finally listen to me. Crisscross.
And then they cut to the rooftops, and you see Robie out in all black, just kind of hanging out, waiting for the cat to show up.
Yep. And he's and so finally we are on the top roof, and the production design with this combined with the process imagery. This is one of the nicest sets in the movie of just these rooftops where they are able to be fully acrobatic and cat-like. Mm-hmm. But like, I mean, it's true though. They are moving like cats, Robie and the burglar, and we're dealing with that lighting scheme again. We can deal with the green, but we're also really dealing with just shadows and the way things are kind of placed around there. There's a lot of expressionist imagery kind of flowing through that just by the nature of the construction of that set. Mm-hmm. So he scouts, he sees the burglar, and then out of the shadows he struggles with the burglar. We don't see it yet, and then out in the light it's revealed, it's Danielle.
He pulls off the mask and it's Danielle.
Yep. And so Danielle's been this burglar this whole time.
And Cary Grant says, "I figured it was you because you did all your father's leg work."
Yeah,
get it?
And then it cuts to black.
Do you get it? Do you get it? Because he only had one leg.
Ha! Oh, he got the leg cut. Oh, God. Comedy Central, give these people a call.
But he said you did all your father's legwork during the war.
Yeah, I used to do these all when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And so they struggle a little bit on the roof there. The police
kind of figure out someone's up there, and they think it's just Robbie.
And they go, "Give it up, Robbie. We will put you back behind the bars."
They're shooting at him here and there.
Yeah.
And then at one point, there's a little chase, like rooftop chase, not very long.
Yeah, and kind of involved. And we were talking about the cat-like movement.
Yeah.
Like he gets on all fours, literally, to kind of maneuver around these buildings.
And she ends up hanging off of a gutter.
Yeah.
And almost falling, and then John Robie catches her, and then that's when the crowd kind of gathers underneath, and she drops the bag of jewels, and he makes her confess.
Because he's just like, I'll let you go if you.
Yeah.
Look, I don't care if you die.
Yeah. But then she reveals, she says, I was working for my father, and he goes, your father is conveniently dead.
So who else
was it?
Yeah, and then it's revealed it's the two other people
it's Bertani, the guy who ran the restaurant.
Exactly. Yeah. So everybody at the restaurant who was suspecting him was just playing a part.
Well, I don't think the rest of the restaurant knew.
I think it is just Bertani and Muscle Beach guy. And
I don't know if it was Muscle Beach guy. That seemed like he was genuinely angry.
Yeah, then maybe he's just part of the regular staff.
So I think it was like, Foussad and Danielle maybe were the only ones in on it.
Yeah, and then Father Foussad, who has sadly passed away. R.I.P. Foussad. So we get to the end of the film. The real villains have been revealed.
We kind of do I also talked about this when they're in the apartment scene right after who we think John is, and he takes off his mask, and it's revealed it's Houston.
Yeah.
And Grace Kelly goes to the window, and we hear a scream. I was like, oh, that's like callback to the scream we hear at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
But it's not a scream; it's a train whistle.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a nice little
he's
callback.
He's immediately calling back through audible imagery, and so and we talk about back to ones a lot, and Hitchcock does this. But unlike a back to one that we deal with in the modern context, like we're kind of like the characters back in the rut that they were. Yeah. This is kind of just like just imagery and sound colliding. Mm-hmm. Hitchcock's really good using sound where it needs to be used.
Right.
Like he'll turn the sound off if it affects the scene better.
Yeah. And then after everything's revealed, we do another back to one because if you remember kids, the police chase at the beginning.
Yes.
The police are chasing Robie back to his house.
Yes.
And find out that it was Grace Kelly made the police drive her. Yes. She's still in her gold gown.
Yeah.
Make the police chase Robie back to her place. Mm-hmm.
And then they embrace. And
and
she's still in her gold gown. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, I won my Oscar.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
Well, and he admits that he loves her too.
Yeah.
You know, and then and this is a little nod. This was in the
featurette.
Bonus feature, but it was like there's a price. Like she stole his heart. Hey.
Yeah. That's what the movie's about. It wasn't about finding out who Danielle really was. It was about
just to catch.
To catch a thief's heart.
Aww. But then there's a price for it. She says, "This is where you live. Oh, mother will love it up here."
And then he turns to the camera.
And he goes, "What?"
Yeah. And then as I was saying, as the movie ended, it's like, "Wait, no, cut. We're not done. No, hold on. Your mother can't live here."
But she's a delightful woman.
So I guess it'll be okay.
I don't think it would be all that bad.
She could be the head of operations for our theft industry.
Just build another wing.
Yes, exactly.
And have that be the mother's wing. That's fine.
Build another clay wing out of that stone house. So then that's the end, Paramount Picture.
Mm-hmm.
So we are, brought to the end of this fantastic escapist fare. There was another ending that was going to happen to this film, and we learned about this in the behind-the-scenes featurette.
I think we also didn't we hear church bells?
Yeah,
we heard.
Yeah, we kind of hear a bit of like the church bells within that. I'm trying to remember what we had for that alternate ending.
they go back to the picnic spot.
They go back to the picnic spot,
and they're making out, and the
Yes.
emergency brake isn't on. It starts to roll off the cliff,
and he's like, "John, can you
put your foot on the brake, please?"
And then it would be dangling off the cliff a little bit,
which
would be way too cartoony.
I guess so. Yeah,
I don't know. It seems like it would be too. This movie treads a line between
I think it's a funny ending, but I don't think it fits.
It doesn't fit the elegance that we've been dealing with. It becomes too screwball-y, or it becomes too slap.
It's like, whoa,
like this. Look, this isn't a cartoon, John. This is. I know you like the Roadrunner, but we can't do that shit. So, but then that's the end, and we've got a film that. I mean, we'll jump into the box office stats on this film. The original rentals on this film are $4.5 million on a $2.5 million budget, so that's a hit. Wow. And it grosses a combined total on from the original release with also the re-releases. It's $8.75 million in 1955.
I'm not a big fan of discussing money or awards because I don't care.
However,
but I will say. Yeah, critics didn't like this film based on just what they had gotten from Hitchcock previous.
Yeah.
It was a hit. It was nominated for 3 Academy Awards and 1 for Best Cinematography.
Best Cinematography color, because they still had the color black and white.
That's right.
This
that's
is
right.
before they started consolidating the category. And it was also nominated for art direction, which had Hal Peria, Joseph McMillan Johnson, Samuel Corner, and Arthur Krams. And Edith Head was nominated for costumes. Didn't win, but... but
at least she got a nod for that. That's nice.
Yeah. At least they were like, "Good on you, Edith.
Good on you, Edith."
Yeah. Dress those rich people nicely. Bravo. But Burks' award is very justified because he doesn't win an award for a Hitchcock movie after this.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So this is his acknowledgement.
Oh, that's good then.
And we talk about Hitchcock in the terms of the award circuit. He and Cary Grant run in the very same circle of just like they never won a competitive Oscar, neither of them.
Yeah.
Hitchcock was barely nominated, and when he was nominated, it was for films you wouldn't expect, like Lifeboat.
I don't know, and also like Best Picture winners sometimes are not the best picture that came out that year. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. I mean, we dealt with that controversy last year with Green Book being awarded that award, and some people have their opinions about this year's awards, Best Picture winner. Although there's been less outrage with it than there has been in previous years because. It's kind of hard not to love Parasite. It's pretty well made. Well, it's amazing filmmaking from Bong Joon-ho. But yeah, back in history, back in the period.
But I wonder if Hitchcock didn't care about that stuff either. You know what I mean?
There's records show that he was rather irritated by it.
Oh,
and when he did finally get his Lifetime Achievement Award, it was kind of just like a fuck. It was almost like a fuck you. He felt, and so all he said was thank you, and then walked off stage. It's the shortest acceptance speech in history, and it very much suggests look. This is not even close to compensation for what I've done for the industry. And meanwhile, though, when they did the AFI Lifetime Achievement Award, he's much more engaged and involved, even though he's older.
Yeah.
So it's clear that the Academy burned him enough. I mean, and also keep in mind when he's first nominated for an Oscar for Rebecca, he loses it, but the movie wins Best Picture, and who gets to pick it up but David O. Selznick?
Yeah.
I've talked about how I feel about O. Selznick, and I'm not gonna toot that horn a bunch more times, because at the end of the day, it's funny, since we've done that episode on Rebecca, I came to the conclusion, I'm just I don't love Selznick as a person, and I don't like Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. But
there are films he produced that I do like Rebecca and King Kong.
Yeah.
He's the guy who gets King Kong fully made.
Yeah.
So. And as far as Hitchcock with awards, he was nominated for Lifeboat, and if there's any win you could have given it to him, I actually would agree with that win. Yeah, because it is an underappreciated movie by today, but if you watch it today, it holds up extremely well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he never, and Cary Grant never won a competitive Oscar. Yeah. He was nominated for films that we don't remember today.
Right.
But we remember North by Northwest. We remember To Catch a Thief. We remember The Awful Truth. Not nominated for those films.
And I'm not trying to say To Catch a Thief deserved anything it didn't get.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, when there seems to be a lot of discussion around awards and how much money a movie makes, and it's you know what? did you enjoy the movie?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like that should be what counts.
Yeah, and the box office for this in particular is more important to the perspective. This is the period that we are discussing is Hitchcock's golden period.
Right.
So it establishes why he gets the control.
Yeah.
Eventually down the line where he can take a gamble like Psycho
Mm-hmm.
and then just say, like, well, I'll just put up the money myself.
Yeah.
And then it succeeds, and the studio that makes something like To Catch a Thief doesn't trust him.
Yeah.
They don't get no money.
Right.
He gets all the money because he was just like, fuck you. See, they get me. These guys get me. Their humor is relatable, Alma. And then Alma's just like rolling her eyes like, oh, fuck. So, and to wrap up the legacy of To Catch a Thief, it's a film that's easily readily available on Prime, so you can check this film out pretty easily.
And you can usually find the DVD.
Rather
I think I bought
inexpensive.
that one at Walmart for $5.
Yeah, and it's one of the only Paramount era films of Hitchcock's that Paramount actually still owns.
Yeah.
Because the majority of them were bought by MCA in the 60s during the big library buyout. So, it's an interesting film in that legacy, and of all the Hitchcock films from the Paramount era, when you see the promotional image for it on Prime and whatnot, it does say Alfred Hitchcock, but it's mainly focusing on this is Cary Grant and Grace Kelly.
Yeah.
So Hitchcock
That's a big draw.
Hitchcock isn't an afterthought. It's just that you're not selling it on that macabre. You're not selling it on that dark sensibility. So it almost doesn't pop out right away to sell it that way.
I mean, if people came to it being like, oh, I love Psycho, I love Rear Window, I love Dial In for Murder, I love Stranger on a Train, I'm going to check out To Catch a Thief.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, okay, there is some suspense in it,
but
it's just different.
Yeah, it's different.
It's not as strong,
Mm-hmm.
and it's blended in with romantic comedy, you
right.
know?
But it's when we talk about filmmakers who deviate from the norm. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Scorsese, and Spielberg does this. Actually, Spielberg, he wins his Oscar for taking the biggest of divergences from his style. That which kind of starts with stuff like Color Purple and Always, and Empire of the Sun. But Schindler's List is decidedly not Spielbergian in the traditional, like, what we know it to be.
Right.
Although some critics complain that he does the Spielberg touch in it, and I'm just like, I don't think so. And also Saving Private Ryan, it's another situation where, like, decidedly a visual difference and whatnot.
Yeah.
Heck, we can even bring it to George Lucas. He does something like American Graffiti, and then just in 180s and says, like, I'm going to make a space movie.
I like Flash Gordon.
I like Flash Gordon.
Or do you think Flash Gordon would be a cool movie? I think that'd be a cool movie. Why do people like Boba Fett?
I don't get Boba Fett. Alma, do you get, like, why do these nerds care about this character that falls into a pit? It doesn't have any action sequences. They made a show about people that look like him? Oh my god, I'm glad I'm dead. And also other directors, Coen brothers actually do this a lot.
Yeah.
Where they change their style up a lot. They win their Oscar, their Best Director Oscar for No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
A decidedly dark, albeit humorous affair.
Mm-hmm.
They win their first screenplay for Fargo, which is much more lighthearted.
Yeah.
But then they can do something like Intolerable Cruelty or The Lady Killers
Yeah.
or Oh Brother Where Art Thou. Heck, Hail Caesar does this too. Where they're clearly doing screwball comedy, but then they'll just say, "No, let's do a noir story."
Yeah. I like it better when filmmakers are able to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, sometimes I admire filmmakers who are able to take that risk more than the ones who stay in their style way too much.
Yeah.
It doesn't get talked about all the time about this, but Tarantino did that with Jackie Brown. He took a huge turn after Pulp Fiction, and arguably Hateful Eight does something similar.
And you could say what you want about the quality of the films that Kevin Smith has been putting out lately, but it's what he wants to do, and he's finding money to do it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, and now granted, he just did Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which is a little bit back to territory, but he still gets to do some of the new
Yeah.
stuff.
And I you know what? I've seen all of those movies in the theater. Like we saw Red State together.
Yeah. I saw Tusk with you, yes.
We saw Tusk. I went to Yoga Hosers.
So did I.
And I went to Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
As did I.
And I was just like, you know what? I don't love them as much as his other stuff, but it's just.
And that's also a hard bar to overcome.
It is.
Like, I think I like Clerks 2 more than you do to a certain extent. Because I think Clerks 2 is an emotional masterpiece.
Yeah.
And then I also understand where there are problems with that.
All right.
But, like, yes, you're right. I mean, like, Kevin Smith takes a left turn with
just as an example, you know what I mean? Like,
frankly, he does another left turn with Tusk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Big left turn. But like, and again, he is able to find a way to make a change within his own career. I mean, Robert Rodriguez was doing a lot of like smaller action films, and he just did Alita.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there's another person behind that.
Who helped him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who helped him,
but it was a great movie.
Yeah. It was a fun movie. It's lots of fun, and it's got Robert Rodriguez's style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and I'm trying to think of like some other filmmakers who have kind of been doing that. I mean, like, you know, Damien Chazelle, you know, wins his Oscar and like wins his notoriety for a musical.
Yeah.
What does he do? He goes and makes a First Man on the Moon movie, which is decidedly different territory.
Yeah.
Very decidedly different territory. And I mean, Jordan Peele kind of does this slightly. I mean, Get Out is a lighter horror. It's been described as more of a lighter horror social thriller. I argue it's a mad doctor movie.
Yeah.
A mad scientist movie because there's a mad scientist in the movie.
Yeah.
And also it does the commentary, but Us is a big divergence back into straight horror.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's presenting itself and the way the monsters are presented. So, you know, everybody does this.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie, Lords of Salem, very different from everything else.
And I love Lords of Salem. People don't like it because it's so different.
I found a copy with that the 3D kind of like picture on the front of Sherry Moon.
Did you come with us to the theater to see that?
No, I did not.
Okay,
no.
So there was these people behind us. The credits rolled, and the guy goes, "Lords of Salem? More like Lords of Shit."
That's dumb.
And it did take a couple viewings for me to kind of be like, okay, I like what happened here. It took because at first I think I was expecting something more chaotic.
Yeah, and what you're getting is a slow burn.
Yeah,
he's very methodical with it.
And that's sort of the problem I had with 31 and 3 from Hell is I was expecting something much more violent and chaotic, and it just felt kind of restrained to me.
It's a little. 31, I think, has a lot of interesting moving parts that don't mesh well together.
I love Doomhead. I love that character.
Doomhead's great.
But that's about what I like about that movie.
Yeah.
And Ken Foray is in it.
Ken Foray, yeah. I like Malcolm McDowell. I don't like him in that movie.
I like Malcolm McDowell, but you know what I mean?
Welcome to 31.
But I mean, that was supposed to be like psycho clowns running loose amok.
Yeah.
And it just felt like it was super contained.
Now, keep in mind also that's the one that he had to crowdfund. So it's...
Well, and it's because he couldn't get his hockey movie made.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Flyers.
And people were like, well, we want horror. And so it was almost like...
He did it out of spite.
And maybe his hand was forced a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, he just did 3 from Hell, and I still have to see it because I want to see Sid Haig's final moment in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But R.I.P. Sid Haig. But what's interesting is that there was a movie he was going to do, and we talk about directors who should divert. He was signed up to do Raised Eyebrows, the movie about Groucho Marx's final years.
Yeah.
And he described it. I had never read Steve Stollier's book until that news was announced. I knew about Groucho's final years, but I had never read Steve's account of it because he was Groucho Marx's personal assistant who worked under the tyranny of Aaron Fleming.
Yeah.
And and I know who Sherry would play, and I think it would be amazing.
Yeah.
I think she'd be great as Aaron.
Yeah.
But the way he described it was it's Groucho's Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think this is the perfect marriage of your style and another genre.
Yeah.
If you did this, it would be amazing. I don't know who you get for Groucho. The joke would be Gilbert Gottfried because he does a good old Groucho, but I think obviously you try to do something different. But that's a director who could take an approach with his style and apply it to something different, much like Hitchcock did with To Catch a Thief, where he's taking his technique and inserting it into a flight of fancy.
Well, I think it's funny how I was complaining about people who complain about To Catch a Thief, and meanwhile I'm complaining about 31 and 3 from Hell.
Yeah, exactly.
So everyone does it.
Yeah,
but
well, we pick and choose.
and it would be great if I ran into someone who had the perspective
yeah.
on 31 and 3 from Hell that made me appreciate it more.
Right. I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of 31. However, it's not like I walked out of it and was just like, I mean, I think when I first saw it, I was like a little bit more trashy with it, but with time removed, I'm just like, it wasn't a huge waste of my time.
I'm glad that I saw it.
Yeah, and it's like it's a good Shudder watch when you can sit back and watch
Yeah.
it. So like, I think it's a film like Zombie's career is very interesting in the respect that like we still have a lot more time to maybe see what he can do with it if we can give him the resources to do it.
I think he's a guy who really doesn't like the system.
Yeah,
the
and
remaking system.
He is very much going outside of it.
Yeah, and he.
I think that 3 from Hell was something that he found a way to bring that family back, and then Sid Haig's troubles kind of caught up with it.
I just wish, because isn't that what happened with Lords of Salem? They were just like, here, make whatever movie you want.
Yeah,
and I was that's what I love.
That was the origin area of Jason Blum and Blumhouse, because Blum produced it with Oren Peli, who did Paranormal Activity, and
that's what I feel like To Catch a Thief is. They were just like, here's some money.
Yeah,
you're gonna make this movie. You want to make it? Go for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So then that's and the Paramount's taking they've already got a hit on their hands with Rear Window, so it's just like there's a success point that goes boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
there are misses in the 50s like Trouble with Harry, Vertigo breaks even.
Yeah,
but there's not a lot of wiggle. There's not a lot of room where he's like failing or anything.
Yeah.
The failure for the end of this period doesn't really come till Marnie, and then Marnie starts to decline, and then you get Torn Curtain, and then Frenzy is the only time it ever picks up again, and then it just dies after that. So, but Matt, thank you for coming to chat with me about Alfred Hitchcock, To Catch a Thief, Cary Grant. And
Grace Kelly,
Jesse Royce Landis, all these wonderful John Williams. No, not that one. I want to ask, like if you wanted to tell anybody about what you're doing lately, like just pitch away.
I'm on Twitter, but there's nothing interesting going on there.
No.
I
mean, there is interesting things going on Twitter.
Yeah,
maybe just not with your feed.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not really planning anything anytime soon. I am building, designing a home tiki bar.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. After film school, I decided to do a lot of writing. I wanted to do a lot more writing. So that's really what I'm doing.
Right.
Is I'm working on. I have a lot of projects that I have a bunch of files open on my computer, and I add ideas to them all the time. So
you're in the creative process. You're just working.
Yeah,
Right
and I might be on a show soon. I'll let you know.
Oh, keep us posted.
But I wouldn't even take that to the bank.
Okay. Well, we'll find out. We'll catch up with you later.
I will post. I'll post when my tiki bar is done. I'll post pictures to that to my Twitter. It's you mean to
give it the Twitter handle
at craving_brains.
Do it.
And that's a double entendre. Speaking of double entendres.
Oh, he's got a social media account. He's got everything.
And I think Brian and I do want to pick up Grimly again. We just don't know in what format.
Yeah, explain Grimly a little bit.
So Uncle Grimly is a horror host
not unlike,
type character.
Not unlike the Elviras or the Vampiras of a certain age.
Right. Or Svengoolie if you're more
deep into it.
Yeah. But we tried using this character a couple different ways, and I think we're going to do something with him in the future. I'm not sure, but that's something me and Brian do, and
Brian Richards.
Yeah,
and which he'll be on an episode, I'm sure, of the Shamley.
Hopefully.
So yeah, I need to get him involved in this. So.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll keep listening to this podcast. I think Brian and I might start up our Static Creeps horror podcast.
I want you to, because I want that to come back.
I don't know if it's going to be strictly horror next time around. We might delve into just kind of genre film, or just film discussion in general. We don't know.
It could be anything.
We don't. Yeah, but I mean, like we definitely don't want to do like. I listened to a couple horror podcasts, and we don't want to do the normal thing, which I don't think we did when we were doing it, but. Just kind of running into that similar genre territory. Yeah.
Everybody kind of talks about the same territory.
I kind of, because we would try to like kind of watch kind of mainstream horror stuff, and I would always kind of want to delve into something that maybe the average person would not seek out themselves.
Right.
And I know there's horror podcasts that do that as well. But
right, but.
We get really goofy and
and I think it's smart for you to try to tackle the genre fair.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I have nothing.
I think you have everything. You brought it to the table with today's episode. You brought your expertise in one of your favorite films to the table here, and you talked. We had a good conversation about expectations we have out of the directors we admire.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a good lesson to take away from this is that. We're talking about a director that is entirely consistent, and even in the film that diverts the most, it's still consistent.
All of his regular themes are in there.
Yep, everything.
Ha!
And that's going to wrap it up for the Shamley Silhouette this week. You can check it out on realnerdspodcast.com. Episodes are coming out as they can come out because the schedule has changed as such. I will let you know if the consistency returns to twice a month or if it's going to be once a month or whatever it's going to be. And the articles are on hiatus until I can figure out how to reboot them. And on the next episode, I'm not sure yet because this will be the last of the pre-recorded episodes. But we'll have something fun for it. So, but we're going to be like, if this is the end of the second half or the second portion of Hitchcock's discussions, I think by the time you see us again, we'll be beginning to wrap up this whole affair, and then Hitchcock will be moved on from, and we'll get to talk about a new topic eventually. So, but that has been the Shamley Silhouette. Until next time, good night.